Why, hello. Welcome to the Captain's Cast. Ahoy and greetings to you. I am your host, Captain Garrett of the Swords of Starships channel. Your host this evening. Another Captain's Cast talking about Stranger Things, talking about the Odyssey. There's a lot of interesting discussion about Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, so we'll get into that. And we have, Stranger Things, it's reached a level of complete enshittification. I'm not happy about it. I'm really not. I'm not in a good mood about Stranger Things, but I am in a mostly good mood about Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. Avengers Doomsday is hilarious. It is the total enshittification of the MCU limping on, and it's creating lots of controversy. We have lots of great shills to laugh at. Internet lolcows, so we're just going to hang out and talk about a few things. What do you think, chat? Fu Man Blue is in the chat, says join our Discord. Why, there's the link. Thank you, Fu Man Blue. Helpful and much appreciated. What's wrong with Eleven's face? That's a great question, Fu Man. Let me see if I can just briefly pull this up. We'll call it Stranger Things. I have to name the stupid file for it. Pull it up. Okay, here we go. Where is it, Mr. Producer? Should be right there. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, I'm just gonna... this is the thumbnail. And... yeah, there is definitely something wrong with Eleven's face here. And it's not a good look. This is the This is about half. This is about half of the cast in Stranger Things right here. And herein lies a major problem with the show. And this was a major problem in season 4. And season 4 was just well written enough that they sort of got away with it. But this was a huge problem in season 4. So let me just, Mr. Producer, if you could, let's just get that. There. Let's just get rid of that. So it's... the cast is so bloated. They had all these characters. The problem with Stranger Things is whenever a new character enters the story, no matter how small, no matter how supporting, no matter how largely irrelevant to the core cast they immediately become a main character. This is a huge problem in the show. This is a really bad habit in writing, is not being able to identify who your core characters are. The first season was organized around a couple of very tight groups of characters. You had the 4 boys. You had basically the 2 adults, which was Hopper and Joyce. And then you had the superhero, the outsider, and that was 11. So right there, you've got 4 kids, 2 adults, 1 unusual outsider who sort of throws all their lives into chaos. And the show sort of orbits around that. Then in season 2, they introduced Billy and Max, which was more just introducing supporting characters for the core group, but then they became main characters. This actually worked well with Billy, though, because in the 3rd season, he became an agent of the Mind Flayer, which was needed, so he became the antagonist, and that was a great role for him to have. But along the way, you start picking up these other characters, such as Murray, who is the conspiracy theorist, who is a mostly fun character, but he served a very specific purpose in season 2, which is he was the guy that helped Nancy and Jonathan blow open the secret conspiracy, the web of conspiracy, and shut down the government forces that were running the MK Ultra and all that good stuff. But then in season 3 and 4, they made Murray a main character. And then you had, in season 3, you had Robin, who was a sidekick to Steve. Then you had, what the hell's her name? She's Lucas's sister. She became a main character. And it's like, you don't need all these main characters. This is too many main characters. And then they bring in Eddie, and he's actually the best new character they introduced in the entire series, and they kill him off. How does that make any sense? You know, Max almost dies at the end of season 4, and it actually would have been, I think, a very excellent and meaningful character death because it came out of nowhere. We kind of thought we had beaten Vecna at that exact moment, and then her getting killed suddenly would have been a huge shock to the audience, and would have been like, you know, Ned Stark. That would have been like Viper versus the Mountain. It would have had real weight, real impact. It would have imparted a sense of stakes and cost. I think that would have been great for Lucas's character to sort of have. He's almost a kind of quasi-widower archetype, right? Because, you know, that's his girlfriend. He lost her. He feels guilty about it. That would have been far superior to the Dustin plot about how he feels guilty about the death of Eddie. But even so, both of those backstories would have gone well together. Lucas and Dustin being very world-weary, having lost something, resenting Will for not having lost 11. That all could have been very helpful. Robin should have been written out of the show after season 3. Instead, in season 4, Robin has a main story arc about her lesbian romance with her girlfriend, who now is becoming a main character also, who helped Will. Is set in order to defeat Vecna, he has to come out as gay. Now, why is this? Well, it's because Vecna uses your fears against you, and it's a... But this is the thing the internet's fixating on. The internet, and I knew they would. I knew the internet would just fixate on this obsessively, that Will is gay and comes out as gay, and we all knew this was going to happen. The scene in which it happens is so beyond cringe. You know, they try to recreate the 80s, but this is the problem with wokeness. Wokeness cannot deal with reality. And the reality is, in the 1980s, you did not have all the people you knew in the town gather around and come out as gay, because it was very rarely going to go well in that time period. It was not accepted back then the way it is now. Now, I could see his mother and his brother accepting it. I could see that. I could see them sort of, that would fit their characters. But it does not fit the culture of the 80s. The questions they would have had for him would have been very... It's basically like coming out of 2025. It's basically like the scene. And everyone gives him a big old bear hug. And, you know, that is not how it would go in the 80s, okay? Even under the best of circumstances. I'm not even saying they'd be hostile to him. I'm just saying that's not what it would have looked like. So that's a big problem. That's propaganda storytelling. It's how it always is. That is not the biggest problem in Stranger Things 5. The biggest problem in Stranger Things 5 is that 10 of the characters are totally superfluous. All of their lines are filler. All of the characters are sort of sounding the same. Every single one of them comes up with a clever, unique plan off the cuff, which doesn't fit. That doesn't fit all the characters. Every single character is like a genius coming up with plans on the fly, because that's what the show requires. That's what the plot requires. But that doesn't fit the characters. So we have an insanely bloated cast. So much boring exposition, I can't even begin to describe it to you. Most of the interesting stuff is constantly being interrupted with crap I don't care about. And what is interesting is it is not exactly blown my socks off as far as an ending to the story. I think the problem is, I think I was correct in my assessment of season 4. Trading the cosmic horror of the Mind Flayer for a human villain weakened the premise and concept of the show, And that is playing itself out in season 5, which is now everything is organized around the battle with Vecna, which roughly makes this a Wrath of Khan sort of story. And that's not as interesting to me. That very little of the focus of the story is about unraveling the mysteries of the Upside Down. Very little of the focus is about the nature of it. They do actually they reveal what the nature of it is, but it falls very flat. It's very much a wah-wah. Oh, it's a wormhole. Spoilers. Well, who cares? Who cares? That's not how wormholes work. Fine. So yeah, Stranger Things is it's not. How can I put this? A lot of the elements that made Stranger Things are successful are still there. Like, for example, there is a character named Derek who's pretty hilarious and a lot of fun. And he reminds me of the first season a lot more. And I do enjoy seeing Will coming more to the fore as more of a leadership character. Unfortunately, his character is constantly stepped on by all the girl bossing, especially by Nancy. Nancy is a full-blown, absolutely insufferable girl boss. She's shrill. She yells at everyone. Oh my God, I almost forgot. There's an entire scene in the show that it's long. It goes on forever. I just kind of my eyes glazed over listening to the conversation, but it's between Nancy and Jonathan. They're in a life and death scenario. They think they're going to die, and he starts talking. They start hashing out all of their relationship problems, and Jonathan gives this, beautiful, passionate speech that ends with him saying, "I don't want to marry you," because essentially meaning because he doesn't want to commit to anyone. He doesn't think it's the right thing for him. And she agrees with him, and he says, "Will you accept my unproposal?" And I thought, gee, well, that's really heartwarming. That's really heartwarming. So let me get this straight. The only way to defeat Vecna is for Will to admit that he likes boys and for Jonathan to not marry Nancy. Okay, that makes sense. I understand. Redoubt Productions asks, what are the protocols when something reaches enshittification level? Does it involve shooting carronades at it? Yes, it does. Well, I will say, here's why I say it's the enshittification of Stranger Things, because some of the core elements that made it Stranger Things are there. Interesting science fiction concept. Some of the characters are fun and really likable. It's an ensemble cast. The problem is, it has become bloated. It has become bloated with clearly Netflix. This is the problem. Anything Netflix is involved in, if it starts to get enough traction, all of that bullshit, all the Netflix woke bullshit will get into it. And that's what it will become. So it's that plus the bloated cast. It's really sloppy writing. It's exposition dumps every 2 minutes. It's really freaking disappointing, to be quite honest with you, because this was one of the last shows I was really passionate about and really enjoyed a lot. And season 4, despite its flaws, and it definitely had flaws, was very strong. And by the way, season 4 had an enormously bloated cast, and it was a problem in season 4, but they just managed to squeak past it because so much of the core story arc was working well. But there's it's interesting. These characters spit out a new clever plan about 2 a minute. And the problem with that is there's actually very little, ironically, there's very little opportunity for there to be a really interesting plan to defeat the bad guy that comes to fruition. So that's a huge problem. I really don't understand the relationship between the military and the main characters in this. It doesn't make any sense at all to me. The military are portrayed as having strange objectives. They don't seem to want to defeat this evil. They seem obsessed with just capturing 11. They just stupidly assume that 11 is the source of everything. And it's like, how can they be this dumb? Like, they're really stupid. And Linda Hamilton is the dumbest of them. But they love portraying her as if she's like super smart and clever. Every soldier in this is a mustache twirling grunt that is completely callous, doesn't care about anyone or anything. They're basically treated as stormtrooper goons in this, and the main characters routinely murder U.S. military police and personnel like it's nothing, like they're just the stormtrooper bad guys, which is pathetic. Pathetic, in my opinion, because there's so much opportunity to tell an actually fairly nuanced story here about, the military having goals that are well-meaning but misguided would actually be a really interesting story, and it would create really interesting tension if the military and our heroes were at cross purposes, but they recognize that the military, despite their misguided beliefs and aims, are trying to help. They're just doing the wrong thing. And so that would create nice tension for the characters who feel like they can't actually hurt them, but they can't also allow them to, take them prisoner and so forth. But there's no effort. There's no effort towards any of that. There's no effort to add any real moral complexity or depth. It reminds me of Avatar, actually. It reminds me a lot like Avatar. It's extremely disappointing. Skunk's Workshop is in the chat. How you doing, Skunksy? Good to see you. All their faces, actually. Yeah, they all look weird. They all look weird, Skunks. It's not good. I will say Hopper remains mostly Hopper. He's mostly in charge. And, I will say this. In most shows involving girl bossery, the classic trope is that the males are emasculated. They're relegated to useful idiot roles. That has happened to some of the characters, Jonathan and Steve, for example. But Hopper remains very much a father figure. He's very much in charge. He does occasionally get overruled by Eleven, but usually it's him reluctantly agreeing with her, but a lot of the times he overrules her. So, and he's treated with a certain level of respect that his character deserves. So that's why I say the show is not like trash on the level of The Acolyte. But enshittification has taken effect. It is a junk food version of what Stranger Things once was. Ridout Production saying, I'm trying so hard to be a fair person and not comment on something I have not watched, but I've seen clips from that Will scene and so sappy. It feels so hemmed up. Yeah, that scene was awful. Awful. So cringe to sit through. And not in any way realistic or grounded given the cultural climate of the 80s. I'm not saying they would have had pitchforks and torches. I'm just saying that's not what it would look like in the 1980s, okay? Also, it's just bizarre. It's a very strange... They're literally talking about the end of the world. And the most important conversation they need to have at that moment is Will coming out. So yeah, that scene was terrible. As I said, the bigger problems with the show are that it's just that there's so many superfluous characters. The U.S. military plot line is dull and really uninspired. They're just goons. They're just Linda Hamilton is so wasted. She actually has a lot of screen presence, and I like her screen presence a lot. Because it's Linda Hamilton. I mean, come on. But her actual character she's playing is insanely stupid and leads even dumber military grunts that just don't even know what they're doing. And then they brought back the woke chick from season 2, 11 sister number 8, and she's taken over a bunch of the storyline. Ridout Production says, why has the Upside Down become so demystified? Didn't they once need masks and stuff so they would not inhale spores? Oh, yeah, they just hand-waved that. In fact, they even had a line of dialogue in it in which a character says, is it safe to breathe the air down here? And someone said, unclear. Oh, I almost forgot. Will's mother is now like a super warrior who, having just discovered after awakening from like surgery, having just discovered that Demogorgons exist without any explanation of what they are, is able to put together a quick plan to blow them up with an oxygen tank. And then she's like, okay, cool, I'm on board now. I'm so disappointed. Fuman Blue says that whole double negative conversation was retarded as frack. Almost this whole season is devoted to people's feelings. This is a really overblown. This is a really bad trope that's crept into a lot of modern storytelling, and it's about how your feelings or how you'll defeat the bad guy. It's how you feel about yourself that will ultimately win. And I just think that that's incredibly depressing. It's incredibly not helpful. So let's pull up my stack of stuff on X, because I pulled up a couple interesting articles on this. Yes, here we are. Oh, yeah. No, that's for later. I have this Last of Us thing. Okay, so yeah. So here you've got the cast. This whole situation is a perfect example of what's wrong with the show. Some of these characters, so their science teachers there. Robin's girlfriend is there. Neither of those characters knew that the Upside Down existed until 5 minutes ago, and now they're just kind of tagging along and accepting that they're in the Upside Down and all this stuff. It's a symptom of having too many characters, because there's not enough time to develop things like these characters coming to terms with the existence of all this stuff. But also, they're completely unnecessary. We don't need them involved. Let's see. Here's a post here. Season 5, Episode 7 of Stranger Things felt like a gay version of a Pure Flix movie. This from Marcus Pittman. The left has embraced the worst things about faith-based movies. They have altar calls that interrupt the story. But who cares if it costs $200 million as long as one person is saved from bigotry? It's so self-indulgent. It's so pathetic. It doesn't serve the story. The moment that they establish... See, this is what the left does. They live out fake delusional fantasies about how they wish things were. And it's really irritating, because that is not how it would have been in the 1980s. In fact, Hopper's reaction to Joyce suggesting that Will is called gay in the first season, his response to that was a kind of suspicious, well, is he? That's more authentic to the 80s. That's more like the kind of reaction. Well, is your kid like that? You know, that was basically... But no, it's just this lovey-dovey. Everyone's happy now. Now, I haven't read this tweet, but it caught my eye. So here's a post by Scott Herman, and he's kind of defending this scene with Will a little bit. So I'm just going to read through it, see what I think about it, because that's really the reason to read it, is to find out what I think about it. Quote, for me, Stranger Things Season 5 just proves how brain dead viewers have become, or they are just rage baiting for views on X. Number 1. Will being gay has been part of the show since Season 1, was literally the first thing mentioned between Joyce and Hopper at the police station, and has been something, it was hinted, not exactly mentioned, but yes, it was set up there, and has been something Will has been coming to terms with the entire show. I would argue he wasn't really coming to terms with it until Season 4, but that's neither here nor there. His powers have nothing to do with him being gay. They do now. But coming out in the 80s was not an easy thing to do, and Vecna latches on to your worst fear to control you. Or maybe you all skipped the 4 kids he killed in Season 4. You know that whole thing with the grandfather clock? Robin also had a whole conversation about it with Steve to give coming out context. If Steve asks out a girl, no big deal. But if Robin asks out the wrong girl, not the same. So Will coming out should have been something you all expected to see if you've actually been paying attention. It wasn't woke. It wasn't an agenda. It was just part of the story. Gay kids existed in the 80s, not a big deal. And for the final battle, Will needed to overcome his worst fear to stand a chance against Vecna. Number 2. Now for the people saying they retconned the Upside Down. All right, pause there for a second because I want to address his first point first. So he is correct in that this was set up from the very beginning. In fact, in the series Bible, which I have read of Stranger Things, which was pitched to Netflix, in Will's character profile, it's already established that he's going to be gay in the future. So they knew that right from the beginning. And yes, in the very first conversation Joyce has with Hopper about Will, she talks about how kids are calling him the F word. And then Hopper's kind of like, well, is he? So they hinted at this. They hinted at it. But they didn't make it a major plot point until season 4. Now, he says that this is not woke. This is just where the show was going. I would agree with that if it were not mainlined as an absolutely central part of the story. It is directly connected to his ability to defeat Vecna. And the scene in which it happens is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. That is not how that conversation would have looked in the 1980s. So the whole thing it's typical woke propaganda storytelling because it's fake, it's delusional in its portrayal, it's taking up way too much oxygen, and they mangled it. I would much rather that it were just an aspect of his character. It gets kind of revealed to, his close friends along the way at some point, but it's not like a central plot point to have his coming out party. That's the problem with it. It's taking up way too much oxygen in the plot that it does not deserve. So I disagree with him. I do agree that the internet is obsessing over this too much. However, I can understand why, because we're so tired of this. We are so tired. So let me put this another way. Will comes out to basically the entire cast on the show. I was, how I always say, when you're watching something woke, you are not observing the art form. The art form is observing you, and it's performing a kind of purity test on you, which is like, if you don't like this scene, what does that say about you? Is like the subtle implication. That's exactly how I felt watching this scene, because I realized that there is no possibility that any of the characters listening to this could have anything other than a loving, affirming, and supportive reaction. Anything less than that, even indifference, would not have been allowed in the script. It just would not have been allowed. That's how I know it's woke. That's how I know it's garbage writing. What would have made it interesting is if maybe one character like Hopper, for example, says like, yeah, kid, we know. Is this really important? Like it's everybody knows. And he's kind of like annoyed by it. Okay, that'd have been great. And then you have one character who is like indifferent to him. Maybe one character's critical and won't accept him. Maybe one character, meaning well, suggests that, well, they have camps for this. I don't know. My point is, none of those characters were allowed to be authentic in that scene. They had to be supportive towards Will. Because if they weren't, the show's evil and bigoted, and so are the writers. That's not honest storytelling. That's not true art. So that's the problem. That's the problem with the Will coming out scene. Now for his second point. For the people saying that they retconned the Upside Down, did you all just close your eyes when they finally revealed the battle between Eleven and Henry? She blasted him to a different planet that looked nothing like Hawkins, and Henry says in that place he became an explorer. That's how he found the Mind Flayer. How were you not wondering this whole time where he was? The planet was bright with lightning everywhere, clearly not the Upside Down. Okay, so close quote. Here's what he's talking about. In season 4, they did retcon it. They retconned it in season 4 because up until season 4, the Upside Down was an alternate dimension, a land of decay and death and whatever. It's right beneath your feet, but you don't even know it. That was the story. There's strange organisms. There's this strange being there, the Mind Flayer. It's alien. It's unknowable. It just wants to consume everything. That was the story. Then they retconned it to be that 11 had pushed number 1, the original, telekinetic child, into another dimension, and he began reshaping all of its creatures into his minions. And it turned out he was behind everything. So that is a retcon, whether you like it or not. But then to have Henry creating... Essentially what happened is they established that realm that Henry goes to in season 4 is another world. It's not clear where it is in time and space. And the Upside Down itself is actually inside of a wormhole. I don't know. Like, listen, I'm as nerdy as the next guy, and I'm certainly open to that being an interesting concept. So far, we've got one episode to go. I don't think there's really anything left to think about where the Upside Down is concerned. So I think we can pretty much just judge it as it is. It's in a wormhole. Okay, as opposed to an alternate dimension. Well, who cares? So what? What does that even add to the story? Basically nothing. That adds nothing to the story. So they did retcon it, and for not really any good reason. Open quote. Number 3. Nancy and Jonathan breakup scene. Will you unmarry me? Was a pretty clear acceptance of a breakup. Tossing the ring should have been an indicator to you as well. Was obvious in season 4 they were drifting apart, and the shared trauma was the only thing holding them together. In the words of the great Mr. Witwicky, how long are you going to ride that scooter? Close quote for a second. Well, that's actually not what bothers me about the scene. What bothers me about the scene is that it was long. The dialogue was derivative and boring. It was very tropey. I already was extremely annoyed with the scene after about 5 minutes of this kind of sappy, melodramatic, whatever. And then for all that, for Jonathan to just say, I don't want to marry you, as if it's somehow romantic. Look, we're tired of this. It's miserable. We never get to see happy endings anymore. We never get to see heroes who win. We never get to see the nuclear family as something just normal and beautiful and happy. Everything has to be a broken home. Unless, of course, it's the lesbian and the gay kid. Then it has to be a syrupy, cloying, just overly melodramatic happy ending. And that's what's annoying people. It's bleak. It's miserable. It's tiresome. It's tiresome. That's the problem with it. It's typical. It's typical of our nihilistic, soulless, materialistic, greedy, left-wing dominated hellscape dystopia that we live in today. A big, romantic, beautiful scene building up to saying, will you unmarry me, and throwing away the ring. What a wonderful metaphor for how morally bankrupt modern storytelling is. That's the problem with it. That's the problem. Not that they're breaking up, that it's boring. Boring. And I really wish I had the as clip of him saying boring. I really do. Open quote. I didn't actually expect to disagree with this guy so much. I haven't actually read this. I think he's He's writing an apologia for the critiques of the show. I think that this is striking me as cope. This is striking me as well-meaning blue pill behavior. This is someone who does, believe me, nobody is more unhappy than me that I have to report to you that Stranger Things 5 is a fiasco. That is not the news I wanted to bring to you. Yeah, I wanted one thing, to just be good. So I'm not happy about this, but at the same time, reality is reality. And this guy wants to delude himself into thinking that the show is not enshittified. And believe me, I understand. I sympathize. The captain is a sensitive, empathetic man. Of course I sympathize. But we must face reality. Open quote. Now, all that being said, yes, number 8 is annoying as fuck. Agreed. I also thought Max was blind. How did Argyle leave the quarantine? Oh, who cares? Thank God. Thank God Argyle is not in this show. That's the pizza delivery guy from season 4. Thank God. I'm amazed he's not in this season because it's so bloated. But anyway, nobody cared to check on Mr. Wheeler in the hospital. Oh, that's right. He's right about that. Mr. Poor Ted Wheeler. I want to make a whole video about Ted Wheeler. That would be Mike's dad. He is like the absolute unsung, unthanked hero. Okay, the very first scene in season 5 of Stranger Things is everyone sitting down to breakfast. It's Joyce, Will, Jonathan, all of the Wheeler kids. They're all sitting down to breakfast. It's a complete madhouse. And poor Ted Wheeler, who pays for the whole party because his wife is a stay-at-home mom and he works a tough job. It's been established that, one of the reasons his wife married him was because he had money and she wanted a comfortable life, which kind of implies that she didn't marry like her absolute, soulmate. She kind of just married because she wanted to have a stable family and be well. So already Ted is underappreciated. She almost cheated on him. Karen Wheeler almost cheated on poor Ted Wheeler in season 3 with Billy. Okay, she did think better of it, which was that was nice. But she almost fucking cheated on him. The guy's paying for 2 families to eat him out of house and home. And then he says to his poor wife, he says, "How much longer, honey?" And she's like, "Oh, stop it, Ted." Then the Demogorgon comes out of the wall, abducts his daughter, just shreds him, shreds his wife. He gets no moment of heroism. He gets immediately pummeled. They get to the hospital. He gets no screen time. His kids go to see they go to see their mother. They do need information from her, but they're all like worried about her. They never ask about their dad. They never ask about him. They never go to see him. They don't even care where he is. There's no mention of him at all. Ted Wheeler has been done so dirty. The guy pays for the house. The guy pays for all the food. The guy keeps the lights on. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You know what it makes me think of? I'll tell you what it makes me think of. I'm going to find this for you real quick, chat. Hang on. It's loading too slow. Just what I need. Well, we'll see if that loads. Come on. What else? Did he have Scott Clark finally being let in on the story was awesome. I'm so no. I'm so past caring about that. But saying this is going back to the quote from the tweet here. All right, I'm aborting that. It's not loading. Okay. So this is going back to Scott Herman's tweet, and he says, Saying season 5 is bad is just not true. Wah, wah. Well, oh, jeez. Well, let's read some of the responses to this, actually. This could be fun. It's not that he came out. It's that they used the last 10 fucking minutes of the penultimate episode of the series, not the season, the series, to have that be the time he chose to come out. They are fighting an evil wizard who's about to combine two fucking planes of existence, and that's what they choose to do. That's actually a pretty good... that's pretty much my exact feelings about it. Wrangler's in the chat. Ahoy, Wrangler. Good to see you. Yeah, and he just repeats his defense of the plot reasons. Let's see. Here is another quote, another response to this apologia for the show. You really think people don't like it because they don't understand it? Get off your high horse. This season sucks. Previous ones were 6 out of 10 at best. Boo-hoo, you guys just don't understand. Okay. I will say this. I am very tired of listening to people who never liked this show beyond the first season tell me how bad it is. It's like, okay, yeah, you never liked the show. You don't like the show. That's fine. Let those of us who enjoyed most of the show engage in critique of what's gone wrong. That is the only little pet peeve I have, because basically a lot of the reviewers who were like shitting on it never liked it. Oh, well, great. You never liked it. You don't have a dog in this hunt. Well, the first season was great. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed the first season. Really glad. There were 3 other seasons that a lot of us enjoyed. So I think that it's more our lane to talk about it, but whatever. Now, what's next? They're not doing what I predicted or what I wanted them to do. We can skip that comment. Don't care. I don't really agree with that critique. Since everyone knows he is gay, means that scene adds no value to the show. There's nothing more annoying than how they have tried to push the agenda. They've also diminished Eleven's role. Wonder why. All right, that's enough of that one. Okay, let's go to the next post I had on this. Yeah, this was funny. Quarter black carrot. The audience when Will comes out. I will say, the expressions on the faces was the most awkward thing I've ever seen. It was so bad. It was so bad. The looks on their faces. I'm like, I don't think this is communicating what you want it to communicate. They all had a kind of mildly puzzled and confused look on their face. Not so much saying, like, what are you talking about, as to say, like, what's happening? What are we listening to, and why are we listening to it? That's basically... yeah, here was the reactions. This is a picture of all the reactions. There's definitely some real strange expressions on the face. I will say, Millie Bobby Brown, she's gotten kind of weird looking. I was just thinking, because, as I'm working on Galaxy Born, which is my own science fiction novel series I'm working on right now, not out yet, it's in development. I like to, when I'm creating a character, it's helpful sometimes to cast an actor in the part, so to speak. So I just imagine an actor playing this character, and I needed an actor who was kind of like a dorky, nerdy type kid, but with some charisma and likability. And so I was kind of like cycling through like, okay, what would be a good actor to play that? And I started cycling through all of the Stranger Things actors. And I was like, yeah, none of them. None of these people are going to have a career after this. None of them are particularly interesting. None of them are particularly good actors. Basically, none of them. I think David Harbour, Joyce, and Winona Ryder are the two that they were. She was already an actor that was well known. Those are the only two that really have anything going on after this. The rest of them, they're not remarkable actors at all. Will, the guy who plays Will, Noah Schnapp, probably the worst actor on the show. It's like seriously bad. He actually sounds like he is reading the lines right at the time he is saying them. It's bad, folks. So, yeah, I was like, no, I'm not casting any of them. And then lastly, just for fun, I came across this. I guess somebody fixed The Last of Us. And I'm going to see like the show, the TV show. Let's just check this out real quick. So on the top, you have Joel and Ellie played by Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. And then down here you have, I forget, Nicholas, is it Coster-Waldau? I forget his name, but he played Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. And they cast someone else for Ella. Let's just see what it's like. Play.
So don't tell me that I'd be safe with somebody else, because the truth is, I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad. Now come dawn.
So don't tell me that.
Wow. So just changing their faces, it does look a lot better. I have to say, the guy who played Jaime Lannister, he would make a good Joel. He actually looks fantastic in that part. Okay. Well, there you have it. So that's Stranger Things. Really disappointing to have to report that to you. But good to see you in the chat, Wrangler. Fu Man Blue says the propaganda that is most despicable is that they try to convince people that gay is natural rather than a deviant lifestyle adopted by some adults. Kids are not gay. Okay. Well, I disagree. I think it's just part of humanity, and it just is what it is. But you're welcome to your opinion. Darth Merlin is in the chat, says the worst part of it is that they revealed that Will was gay in season 4 without actually saying it, which they did. And it was done brilliantly. Then the season, they hit us over the head with it as hard as they can. And that's really the issue. That's the issue. I honestly, I wasn't wild about that subplot in season 4 either, because season 4 already had the same kind of problem, just not quite as bad, which is just a super bloated cast. Season 3 kind of suffered from that problem. It was too many characters. So adding in all of these subplots was just slowing things down. It was just adding weight that wasn't dead weight is the word I'm looking for, which is how you know that it's propaganda storytelling, because the storytelling art form is taking a back seat to the message. Fu Man Blue says, I'm sick of having deviant lifestyle shoved in my face every time I turn on my TV. Sick fucking world. Okay. Look, I'm not saying that people have to like it. I'm not saying that people need to have it shoved in their face. I'm just saying it's just reality. It's just reality that some people are attracted to the same sex. I don't think that you should have Disney TV shows pushing it on kids. I don't think that at all. I think it's just reality. What's next to the stack of stuff, Mr. Producer? I am going to get into The Force Awakens. Let's have a nice palate cleanser. This'll be good. Hey, Fu Man, you'll like this. This one's for you, Fu Man. You're tired of the deviants? Tired of the deviants being stuck in your face? Well, I've got an absolute legend for you. Hat Tip Asmongold. Okay. Let me just tee this up for you. This guy was doing a live review of whiskey. He's doing a whiskey review on his YouTube channel in the midst of his wife divorcing him and packing up all of her stuff and leaving.
Let me see this. Man reviews a 10-year-old single malt scotch while wife packs her shit and leaves him in the background. What?
This Friday morning, I've had a reasonably successful week at work.
Wait, stop the tape, Mr. Producer. Okay, this is very important. I have to get me out of the way so you can see his chat. His chat's the best part of this. Asmongold's chat. They're like... here we go.
And this Friday morning, I'm relaxing and maybe celebrating a little bit. You can see that things are in a little bit of disarray back there. Well, Cindy and I are breaking up. She's moving out.
I love how, like, right before that, he talks about how it's a reason for celebration. Yeah, celebrating, yeah.
The way I can enjoy that, I said, no.
Just all of the Pepe frogs and clapping in the chat.
No, it's hard. No, it's really fucking hard.
Uh-huh.
Big dick energy. One of the chats said big dick energy.
Some Lefroy 10. Lefroy 10 has been my go-to single malt
Yeah.
for many years now.
Uh-huh.
Especially when it comes to peated Isla malts.
Yeah.
And I like this stuff because
A man's man.
it's just no compromise.
There she is in the background.
Just give me the smoke, give me the peat.
Oh, man.
Good pup on that one.
Oh, boy. Oh, man, bro. He's going all in.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the chat, they're like, whale. They're like, whale alert.
Oh, wow.
You know, I'm not smelling much. Maybe my sniff.
Oh, my God. He's just there.
Is out of whack.
This is amazing.
Oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
Oh, there we go.
Coat that glass. Lose a bit to the floor. Road tar.
Oh, my God.
Road tar, smoke. And more road tar.
Right. Dude, this is absolute legend. Imagine that your marriage is falling apart. She's packing her shit in the... I don't even like to do my live stream. Like, I want total privacy. Doors closed, curtains drawn. Like, when I'm doing a live stream, it's like I gotta be in my enclosure. This guy's doing his live stream or his video, which, as the case may be, with his wife packing her shit right behind him. It's so incredible, man. This guy is the GOAT.
He's, like, really enjoying it, too. Oh, there's the keys.
For road tar, it's really smooth.
Uh-huh.
It's got that medicinal quality to it. Bye. It's got that medicinal quality to it. It's almost like...
Bye.
There's a honey note to it compared to the Kalila that I was drinking earlier.
This is it. I guess we'll just finish it.
Yeah, you know.
Bye.
Ever it's like bye, based giga.
See ya.
This is very nice. I've also been watching the movie Vanishing Point.
Literally just does not give a fuck. It's like, yeah, so I was also watching this. Just does not even care in the slightest.
And I'm going to get into some more of those
Oh my
early
God.
70s hot rod kind of movies.
Yeah, for sure,
Watching
man.
those. Just to relive my youth a little bit. I remember that one from, I think I haven't watched it in 40 years, and I'm watching it this morning.
Oh, wow.
There's going to be a few others, you know, like White Line Fever and a couple other movies like that from the early 70s. And high-powered cars and things like that.
Yeah.
Wait for it.
Freud. Yeah, Freud. I've liked Freud since the first time I tried it. It's Pete. It's Smoke. It's
She's back.
some dirty socks in there. Fabulous stuff. Yeah, I highly recommend this. Cheers, Slanjovar.
Oh my.
Absolute legend. Hat tip Asmongold. Okay, moving right along. So, Christopher Nolan, who is one of the great film directors of our time, is working on what might be, I don't think it's going to be his best ever film, but who knows? It's possible. The Odyssey, which is one of my favorite tales of all time. Now, here's the problem. Christopher Nolan films are, by their very nature, quite polarizing. He has a very specific vision. He has a very specific way of doing things. Some people love it, like myself, and some people don't love it. It just is what it is. But he's a talented director nonetheless. And typically, well, as is typical, I should say, he's running into the exact same polarization with the Odyssey. So we just had the Odyssey trailer drop. Now, I might have to clip this out of the stream later. It's one of the benefits of watching live on the Swords of Starships channel, the Captain's Cast, every Saturday, except for today, which is an exception. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. But I may have to clip this later because they're being kind of harsh with this trailer, but I could just kind of show you the trailer that came out. Let me pull it up here. Read out, you like how that guy quietly sipped his glass of old fashioned. I know, got wife's leaving and packing her shit. And he's like, I'm going to review a whiskey. Okay, here we go. I think I found it. Yeah. Do we have shared audio? Yes, very good, Mr. Producer. Very good. Yeah, so this was the trailer that was shown before the Avatar film.
After years of war.
And I gotta tell you, right there, that is badass. Like, that just looks cool. The visual, the mise en scène, beautiful. Let me resize this just a little here because there we go. That's a little better. Music hitting as usual.
No one could
Matt Damon looking great as Odysseus.
stand between my men. And home. Not even me.
Now, one of the things I love about this trailer is that the world, the ancient world specifically, feels dark, cold, and unforgiving. That is as it should be. There's a lot of pushback on this from the internet saying like, oh, it's so grim. It's so dark. And it's like, well, because that's how the ancient world was. I'm not saying that there wasn't beauty and joy and happiness in the ancient world. Of course there was. But, you know, you couldn't just get in your car and go down to Starbucks back then. Traveling from one town to another entailed a variety of serious dangers. Bandits on the road, you know, your country could be invaded at almost any time by barbarian hordes. You never know. But this is the way that films about the ancient world used to be. Like Gladiator, super deadly serious, super grounded, gritty. Like, you know, you can just see the dirt and the blood and the battle in the beginning. Like, that's how the ancient world should be. So I think this tone is killing it. Fuck. Man, the music is crushing it. It's going to be so good. So, Fu Man Blue says, what was another movie with Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway? You don't like Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway, Fu Man Blue? They're cool. I could do without Zendaya. That I could do without. See if I can get this to load here.
Promise me you will come back.
What if I can't?
I mean, the music alone is freaking fantastic. But just that, my favorite part of that entire trailer is when they're below decks in the trireme and swords are punching through, and one of them gets like slashed. He's got to like contain his scream. Like, oh, that's just badass. The ancient world was brutal. It was unforgiving. That's how it should be. It's how it's supposed to be. So I'm enjoying that. Now, this brings me neatly along to the controversy, which we will discuss momentarily. Darth Merlin says, LOL, if they were suspicious enough to stick swords in the horse, why bring it in? Oh, you know what? I totally didn't even catch that. You're right. They're in the Trojan horse. They're not in a ship. They're in the Trojan horse, and the swords are getting... okay. Nice catch, Darth Merlin. Fu Man Blue. Interstellar. Yes, I watched Interstellar just the other day. I watched it with 4 family members, who were the wrong crowd for it. This is the strangest thing. Interstellar, we're playing the usual streaming slot machine. Let's pick a movie. And it's like, oh, great. We're going to sift through thousands and thousands of titles of slop, ultimately settle on an insipid, paint-by-numbers rom-com, and I will just have to endure it for 2 hours. To my surprise, my sister says, oh, Interstellar, I love that movie. Let's watch that. And I was like, you like Interstellar? She's like, oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. I'm like, what? No way. I can't even believe that. And she's like, oh, yeah, she's all about it. And get this, she even loves the soundtrack. She's like, the soundtrack is the best part. You have to understand. My sister is like a normie. She's not like me at all. She's not like a total Hans Zimmer nerd. She's not like sci-fi's okay if there's a romance plot in it. That is unusual. It was like I was listening to myself talk about Interstellar. It was strange. But the problem was she was insisting on watching it. And I said, well, this is the wrong crowd. This crowd's not going to get it. There's a bunch of boomers. They're not going to like this movie. They're going to have all kinds of questions. They're not going to pay attention. they're going to get bored. Like, let's watch something else. And you and I could watch this later. And she said, no, I want to watch it now. Okay, fine. And so we start watching it. And literally it was constant complaining about the soundtrack. Oh, the music is so loud. The music is so loud. Oh my gosh. Oh, what are they doing now? What, are they in a spaceship? Oh, jeez. It was a disaster. It was a disaster. And then it hit me. I think Starfury is a boomer or a Gen Xer, one of the two. I think that's roughly where his age group is. And I realized that the Gen Xers and the boomers were reacting to the Interstellar soundtrack like, it's too loud. There's too much noise. I don't like the rocket firing. I don't understand. How is it that there's a planet there? How did they get to the planet? And I'm like, this is why Starfury doesn't like Interstellar. It's too noisy. He can't process that much awesome. I shouldn't take swipes at our dear Starfury when he's not present in the chat. So I beg your indulgence. I'm just kidding. Still, it was food for thought. Crowbar the Skull is in the chat. Ahoy, Crowbar the Skull. Welcome aboard. I hope it shows the Cyclops eating Odysseus' men. Me too. That's a great point to bring up, Crowbar. This is my one of two serious concerns about the Odyssey. Obviously, I'm concerned about Zendaya because she's awful. Why is she in this? I don't know why, but I'm suddenly paranoid that she's not actually in it, and that's like an internet meme. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I was right about that. Yes, she is in the Odyssey. Okay. And then Elliot Page is the other one. So that's concern number one. But concern number two is, what if Nolan is making it too grounded? That's the problem. What if he strips all the magic and all the supernatural out of it? The Cyclops just has like a weird helmet. You know, he's not really a monster. He's just kind of a weird genetic anomaly with a helmet that has one eye hole in it or something. Don't do that, Nolan. I want magic. I want supernatural. I want, but it's grounded, but it should have like the supernatural in it. I don't want a secular Odyssey. I don't want a modern secular take on the Odyssey. I don't want that. So that's my one concern, Crowbar. So I'm definitely with you. I want to see an honest-to-God Cyclops chomping down. I want the Sirens. I want Charybdis. I want Scylla. I want the whole works. I want Athena. I want all of the supernatural characters and elements in this. That's probably the scene I'm most excited for, is the Sirens. I think that will be one of the coolest. I want the Island of the Lotus Eaters. I want all of it. Fu Man says, I thought they were on a boat. Ship would be the correct nomenclature. I thought so too, Fu Man. I'm just being an asshole. I thought so too. I thought they were below decks on a ship and they're getting stabbed. But Crowbar, I think that's actually that they're in or Darth Merlin pointed out. I think that's actually inside the Trojan horse. I think that's actually the correct take. But who knows? We'll see. Fu Man Bliss says, I've only ever watched it on Prime, and their sound levels have always been off. They know it, too. I have double my sound on Prime to hear dialogue. Effects are 10 times louder. Oh, you're talking about Interstellar? Yet there was... The sound balance on Interstellar was not quite right. I will grant. But even so, it's like... They just have to bitch. They just have to bitch about things. It's just like, it's so loud. It's like, well, let it be loud. So what? It's a movie. I don't know what it is. They get disturbed by loud noises, the olds. What was it that said sister just ranked up, said Fu Man? Oh, totally. Totally. I was like, I literally have more respect for you now. I was like, I can't believe you love the movie and the soundtrack. In fact, after that, I was able to play. What was it? Do I still have this? Do I still have it? Tell me I still have this. Ah, dang it. I don't have it queued up. Unless... Oh, wait, hang on. I have a good one for you. I did have a video of a guy playing the Interstellar theme, which was Where We're Going. He's playing it on a piano in an airport, and he attracted a crowd. I've played that before. I played that for her, and she loved it. And then I showed her this one, too, which was the Interstellar reaction in a live theater to my favorite action scene of all time, which was the docking sequence. And it's not loading. Why is it not loading, Mr. Producer? Hang on. Let me see if I can find it here. There we go. Go to this file. I must have gone through and deleted a bunch of shit, because I thought I had it. Hang on. It's in here somewhere. All right, Mr. Producer. Note to self, I've got to go through and remove this stuff. Anyway. So, yeah, definitely ranked up. Okay, now to discuss the other issues. Okay, so the complaint about Nolan's Odyssey is that it's not historically accurate. This is not how Greek hoplites would have looked in this time period. And so you have someone on the internet decided to do an AI correction of this and say, well, this is what they actually would have looked like. So here we go. I gotta tell you. Okay, here's my thoughts on this, okay? Am I categorically opposed to portraying something close to this? No. But honestly, as a filmmaker, you would have to make this look cooler. Now, Redoubt Productions is probably going to excoriate me for this opinion, but listen. You cannot allow telling a good story to be held totally hostage to the absolute, reality of a situation. No fictional story, even a biopic about a real historical figure, no story is ever going to be 100% authentic to life. Art is an imitation of life. Art is a approximation, a simulation of life. Dialogue is not exactly how people really talk. It's a simulated reality of how people talk. And so, yes, you want historical detail. Yes, you want things that provide a sense of verisimilitude in your storytelling, but you cannot allow what actually would have happened to be holding you hostage. Now, that does not mean I'm saying you just have wildly crazy variances, you just disregard historical accuracy. I'm saying a little bit of stylistic flair is necessary. Now, this is not an exact science. I get that. This isn't exactly something you can totally quantify and define. All I'm saying is if you were going to do this, it's got to look a little cooler. You got to change a couple of things. Like the gold appearance is fine with the red highlights, but make it look cooler. That's all. That's what I would tell the costume department if this were my production. I'd be like, okay, we're going to be historically, make those horns on the helmet look scarier, make the helmet look more interesting. Like, so it doesn't look like kind of a weird basket. Historically accurate triremes are fine. I'm fine with that. Listen, is it historically accurate? Maybe. Does it look cool? Regrettably, no. No, it does not. It does not look cool. All right, so that was the historically accurate version. I mean, listen, I saw this in the theater and I was like, sold. Take my money, take my money, take my money. And it was this part right here. And honestly, this is what's got the internet going nuts. This very first shot right here. Well, okay, the second shot then. You got this shot and then the next part. Here we go. There it is. There it is.
2 years of war.
It just looks so badass. It's just the guy, and they're saying this is like ancient Greek Batman. Which is fine. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with them tuning up Nolan. His style is very, he's got his style, and yes, it is very over the top. Tell me that does not look badass as hell. That's basically every AI-generated AI meme about saving Western civilization you've ever seen. That's what that is. Redoubt Productions says, I am not a historian of ancient Greece, so I cannot comment on the Odyssey beyond the Odyssey was a fictional fantasy piece, even in the time Homer performed it. I see it as a religious piece of the time. So, I don't know. Derpy is in the chat, says, what are those? I don't know to what you refer, Derpy, but I'm happy to try and answer that question at some point. I need more detail, though. Fu Man Blue says, I'm glad they changed it. That looks ridiculous. LOL. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't do a variation of the historical armor that could look cool, right? So I guess you could call me this. You can call me a fence sitter. I'm really not a fence sitter. I'm fine with Nolan's take. I like it a lot. I also think you could have done some variation of the historical, but let's face it. The absolute historically accurate armor looks not super cool. And my feeling is that great art has to take some artistic license. You have to take artistic liberties. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Darth Merlin says, I heard complaints that it looks too clean. There could be some truth to that. I mean, I think that it depends on the scene. There's a kind of... I usually think the way most people view like ancient times and ancient peoples is that they were always covered in dirt and their teeth were always falling out and they always stunk really bad and those sorts of things. And I think that it depends. It depends on the time and the place. I think there's a lot of really amazing and beautiful places you could go where people were probably mostly pretty clean and in really good shape. And that would be like in, royal or noble areas. I think if you were in a peasant hovel, you'd probably be appalled. So it just depends on where you're at. But this idea that ancient peoples had no sense of cleanliness, that they had no sense of hygiene and taking care of themselves, that they had no sense of aesthetic beauty, they did. They understood what being dirty was. And now, probably some of this comes from the perception of medieval times. And it is true that in the medieval world, there was a lot of fear of water, which led to sort of fears about bathing. This was not the case in the ancient world. Ancient Greeks, ancient Romans loved baths. They loved bathing. In fact, historians to this day note that Romans are strangely obsessed with bathing. Obsessed with it. If there was any question they needed answered, health-wise, culturally, religiously, generally it almost always involved taking a bath. That was basically the answer to just about everything. Bathing. It was the prescription for almost every ailment. It was the thing to do on almost every nice occasion. So just because they live in an ancient time does not mean they're unclean. Now, if they've just come out of a battle, then yes, they should be covered in dirt and blood and nasty. But, if it's an ordinary day, like having your armor looking pristine and clean as a ranking officer, probably a landowner, which they would have been in ancient Greece, you would want to make an impression. You'd want to make a good appearance. So I don't totally disagree with that. Wrangler says, why did they look like they were wearing the helms of Roman centurions? It is true that Greek culture fed into Roman culture. So a lot of what Roman culture reflected came from Greek culture. But as far as the exact aesthetic of the armor, yeah, that I'm not clear on. And Redoubt Productions, not being a historian of this time and place, has reserved comment as well. What's next in the stack of stuff on this? I have more on the Odyssey. Fu Manblus is the only people that were bathing enthusiasts back then were the ones that lived off the labors of the rest of the community. Fu Man Blue is just, you are in a mood today. What's wrong, Fu Man? We got to cheer you up. Fu Man Blue is just mad at the world today. Crowbar the Skull says, the armor doesn't look that bad to me. It depends if they overuse it. Perhaps. Now, I would just say, look, humanity has always existed along a hierarchy. That's never going to change. There's always going to be people that have it better and people that don't have it so good. But in ancient Greece, one thing you could say is that they were free men that owned land fighting for their own land. That was a very unique distinction. Fu Man says, I know I've been sour all day. I'll look into it. It's all right. Hey, you're in the right place. The Captain's cast is here to cheer you up. Did I have any more in this stack? I don't think so. No. So yes, Mr. Producer, we're going to move on from that. All right, grab this piece. So that brings me neatly along to the reaction of a historian. I've not seen this yet. This is Metatron. I don't know if I'll watch his whole video, but I want to get a sense of what his objections are. Wrangler says, weren't the Egyptians also meticulous with their hygiene? Yeah, a lot of ancient peoples were. A lot of tribal people were. Now, could they get clean in the sense that we think of it, where we have all these artificial soaps and like all these like super refined things like shampoo and all that stuff? Well, no, but they had ways of being like very clean. But there were periods and eras where people had different beliefs about things. And definitely in the medieval period, there definitely was a lot of, myths about water being a source of illness that caused issues with like people not wanting to bathe and stuff. That was not true the world over. There were different cultures that did value it. Okay. Share screen, Mr. Producer. Sound is enabled. Okay. Hat tip Metatron.
Welcome, noble ones. How you doing? Good to see you. Nolan, you muppet. What on earth are you doing, Nolan? Seriously, man. I can't leave the guy 1 second unsupervised because he's a muppet, because I will be merciless. And one of my major lines of attack are the following. I'm absolutely fine when a movie is not supposed to be like it. It's not a documentary, fine. Therefore, we can give free artistic expression, right, to the movie maker, directors, special effect artists so that they're not limited, am I right, by historical accuracy in order to be able to present and provide with an upgrade, something that looks better, right? And here's the problem though, when you're going to ditch historical accuracy to present a piece of armor or costume that looks 50 times worse, then at that point, freaking do the historically accurate one, am I right? Of course, you're free to disagree and be wrong. You got a license for that awful armor. Oh yeah, I'm going to be pedantic, all right? I'm going to be absolutely monstrously pedantic.
All right, let's skip ahead a little.
The scribes are in fact contemporary to Homer. So, should we be 1000% accurate in what we expect when it comes to any representation of the Odyssey? No, because even the author himself wasn't. Okay? With that being said, I mean, come on. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Please. Seriously. What you want from me? This is my nemesis. This is the Antichrist for me. So I look at what they did. What did they do? What did these guys do? So this is, of course, we're going to watch it at Universal Pictures, channel with 10 million subscribers. Goodness. Can I know who the...
Yeah, loading. Yeah, I'm waiting to hear the critiques of the armor. I'm waiting to hear like what the actual issues
planted this spear, because this spear is like 1.5 meters inside the sand. That took some, am I right? That took some crazy. Do remember that even if we watch it first, I can't let the audio play, so we're gonna watch it in silence at that point, or I could just scream. I'm gonna let it play. We get like a 20 seconds in, then I pause it, I scream, I click it, watch another 20 seconds, I scream.
Wrangler pipe down hippie. Metatron's cool. Listen. The world needs obsessive nerds that will accept absolutely nothing less than perfection. Look, this is how it's always going to be with a Christopher Nolan film. They are just so polarizing. And I'm fine with that. I think it's why he's a great filmmaker. I'll tell you what I honestly think. I honestly think that what this looks like is essentially every ancient Greece / ancient Rome type movie you've ever seen, just a little bit cooler and a little bit more larger than life. That's what it looks like to me. Now, you can argue that that's just a trope that's not historically accurate, and that's probably true. But the point is, does it look implausible? I don't think so.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I'm waiting to hear an actual argument.
Goodness gracious.
I'm waiting to hear an argument. 23-minute video here.
Is that 20 seconds? No, yes, that is 20 seconds. All right, so this is the big deal, guys. Now, already, this is a piece of cheap, thin leather jerkin that we know. I'm not even gonna, but this. So you walk up to this Muppet, and you see this from the back already. He's a clown already. But then as he turns around, let's go. Turn around. Boom. How can you keep your face straight? That is so bad. How do you keep a straight face?
Okay, you don't like the aesthetic. I'm still waiting to hear some kind of reason for a historical problem. I thought that's what this video was.
Everyone has black leather. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Everyone, look. Every single soldier has got black wristbands. So this is even worse. Look at them. This is even worse than ancient Roman ones, because at least ancient Romans have brown leather. These guys, someone who was mass producing these for them, for the entirety of the Mycenaean army, I suppose.
Black looks badass. What's the problem here?
Went through the... Imagine having to dye everything black. Oh, gosh, this guy. Let's continue, please, before I vomit. Before I vomit. What are you kneeling at? What are you kneeling at? The Space Eldar.
Is that a bad thing, the Space Eldar?
That's Matt for you. He's got good arms, though. I'll give him that. That's good muscle requirement.
My God.
Which is why I do complain about it, because you shouldn't have stirrups in classical antiquity, right out of your mind. With that being said, I was like, make them green, and remove them with a green screen. That's what I say, usually. So do you think that's what they did here? Because, I mean, the way he's sitting, and true horse riding, even in medieval horse riding, when you look at a medieval knight as they ride a horse, it looks like they're standing. I don't know if you ever noticed that. The way that he's sitting like he's riding a motorcycle is not exactly a coherent way to ride a horse, but I mean, that's very pedantic, I get it. And then again, there aren't stirrups, so it's okay. It was a giant, was it? Or a cyclop? I like that. I love the fact that bronze that they're using looks dull gold. That is because in period, that's probably a lot of the weapons and armor, they would have looked like that. I have a dedicated video on the actual chromatic look of bronze, because it has multiple possibilities depending on the constituents. This is the Dendra armor. And again, this one of the main associates, very well-known professional Hollywood costume designer of Christopher Nolan, the producer of the new American movie Odyssey. So 2.5 months ago, received an just gorgeous. Now, so this is from the guy himself, the Hellenic Armors, and we read, this is a post of his. 2.5 months ago, I received an email. This is from a while ago. 2.5 months ago, I received an email from one of the main associates, very well-known professional Hollywood costume designer of Christopher Nolan, the producer of the new American movie Odyssey. So, Odyssey. The collaboration proposal was to do with the armor of the movie protagonists, as we refer to the Mycenaean era. They had seen my related work online and thought they should present the heroes in realistic armor. Unfortunately, there was no continuity in communication. The result is to once again use low-fidelity armor from the dressing room referring to the classic period. A unique opportunity for historical realism was lost. The email is there for any malicious doubters. And this is directly from him. Yeah. So, yeah, we could have had it, guys. It was this close. We could have had it. It is... To me, disagree if you want, but to me it's a missed opportunity for once. And you know what's crazy? When you go around Twitter, you see this. How? Like, this guy is getting millions of views. Good for him. I mean, I'm glad. This, a few.
So you have this tweet here. It says, Greek Darth Vader greater than historical accuracy. See, you know what's interesting? I'm kind of annoyed by both sides of this. I'm annoyed by the obsessive, like, oh, it's got to be exactly like it would have actually looked, or oh my God, it's another missed opportunity. There have been dozens of adaptations of the Odyssey over the years. Watch any one of those. You know, Nolan just isn't interested. He just isn't interested in doing an exact historical replica of really anything. What he's interested in is taking a subject matter he loves and doing something unique with it. That's what he's interested in doing. Love it or hate it, totally valid, and that's why he's polarizing. I happen to love it. That being said, I'm also annoyed by this hand-waving, sneering, dismissive attitude about people critiquing the historical accuracy, because while I think Metatron's arguments are overkill here, he has a point, and it's a fair point. There could be a really missed opportunity here. And it's a fair critique, and I'm glad the critique is out there, because Nolan needs to hear it, honestly. I think that critique should be out there. It should be known that this is not historically accurate. Don't look at this as like this is what it would have really looked like. On the other hand, this annoying, just arrogant, like, well, who cares? It's just a story mentality is such bullshit. It's so fake, because if it were anything that this poster really cared about, in terms of lore or accuracy, it would be a different story. So they're never serious when they have this argument. This is a bullshit cope argument. So I really get annoyed by both. There's valid critiques of the historical accuracy. Does that ruin the film? I don't think so. But we'll see.
$100.
I'm not a fan of Tenet. I was really excited for Tenet, and it was a disaster. So you never know.
Greek Darth Vader.
All right, that's enough of that. All right, hat tip Metatron with a pretty good video. Little too much beating around the bush, I thought. It's like, I'm here for the argument. I want to hear what your arguments are. And it's like 10 minutes of, oh, no, that's terrible. Oh, that's awful. Oh, I'm going to puke. Okay, well, great. What's the reason? What's the reason for that? Okay, roll tape on Geeks and Gamers with more controversy around Christopher Nolan's Odyssey.
We reacted to the trailer for the Odyssey.
It's the angriest man on the internet, Ryan Cannell and Jay.
For the trailer to the Odyssey on here, and who knows? I talked about it a lot where, whether this actor or that actor, whatever, I think so much is going to be based on the vibe and how people feel about the vibe of the movie. And I think Matt Damon will give a solid performance. There's a couple of actors that people are a little concerned about being in this, understandably so, whether it's because it's a freak like Elliot or Ellen Page, or whether because if Lupita Nyong'o is actually playing Helen of Troy, don't make much sense. Or if Zendaya is actually playing Athena, don't make much sense. Do it, right? But besides that, there has been a little bit of backlash towards the trailer. A little bit of backlash towards the trailer, Jay. Because it doesn't look period accurate. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, right here. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey facing severe backlash. Batman meets Warhammer.
I saw this.
I mean, they're not wrong.
And this is Metatron, and Metatron, awesome. He knows so much shit about history. Been on Friday Night Tights with him. Very passionate about this stuff.
Yeah.
He was on when we reviewed Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
Here's what he says. Let me get this straight. Nolan's costumes are actually worse than I thought, and my bar was cosmic low. Agamemnon, more like Batman with a hint of Warhammer 40K. And there's been a lot of tweets like this floating around, some that are kind of funny edits of this, like people putting the Batman symbol on it. But a lot of people talking about how it doesn't look what the period should look like historically, right? Like this is kind of what you would be looking at for that type of armor during this time period. And some people are bringing up movies like Troy, which even though those aren't completely accurate either, it's a little bit better representation than something like this.
That actually is a great point. If you haven't seen it, the movie Troy, the actual costumes in that, they don't look like the typical Roman era thing that you would see, and that actually is a good balance of historical accuracy with style that looks good for the movie.
What do you think, Jay? Do you think that it not being super period accurate and maybe going for fucking vibes of like badass look instead of maybe historical accuracy? What do you think that's going to have an effect on?
I think to regular people, they could care less. That's what I think. But did you see the AI edit where they put in historically accurate armor and redid the trailer? Did you see that?
I saw it being tweeted. I didn't watch the video though.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. It doesn't look good.
It's not even a minute.
It doesn't look good, Jay. It doesn't look good. So sorry.
Can I share it?
Yeah. Let's watch.
Not have time. Okay, so this is it right here.
Definitely think that there is a better balance that you could strike.
Bingo, 100%. That's exactly what I said. Is it not? Ryan Cannell nailed it. If you were going to go that route, you would need to find a balance because let's face it, it just looks hokey. It's historically accurate. I know. To be fair though, if Christopher Nolan were making a film about Napoleonic era naval warfare, and like suddenly all of like the elaborate bicorner hats were like looking like something like modern and cool, I'd be so mad. I'd be like, no, they need to have the actual bicorn hats. Sorry, couldn't get to the cough button in time. They would need to have the bicorn. Fu Man Blue says, I agree with Jay. No, you don't, Fu Man. That's just a meme. I know what you're doing there. I don't know why this just popped in my head for some reason. I've also been watching the Fallout show, season 2, the 2 episodes that are out. It is so fucking bad. It is such a fucking disaster. I hate that. Let me tell you something. A lot of people on the internet are saying they like the Fallout show. Let me tell you something. The people that wrote that show fucking hate Fallout. They think it's a big, dumb joke. They think it's fucking stupid. Honestly, the way they portray the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout is like if you had someone who thought Warhammer was stupid and neckbeardy and that the dumbest thing in the world were the Space Marines writing Space Marines. That's what the show feels like. Like people who think, wow, this is retarded. These Space Marines are stupid. Do people take these characters seriously? And they wrote scenes with Space Marines with that attitude. That is what Fallout is like. I hate that show with such a passion because so many people think that it's an accurate representation of Fallout. It is the Kurtzman Trek of Fallout. It is like Kurtzman Trek is to Gene Roddenberry Star Trek. That is what Fallout is to the Fallout video games. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. Cap doesn't like Jay because Jay wouldn't let him sit at his table at the meetup. I don't even recall. He wasn't at a table at the meetup. I don't want to. You're trying to get me to say something negative about Drunk 3PO. And I'm not going to do that because I'm a nice guy. Let's just say I prefer Jeremy on Geeks and Gamers. Just a preference.
Between trying to give something more reminiscent, kind of like they did in Troy, right? Trying to do something a little bit more reminiscent while like of what it should actually look like while having a little bit of practicality for making this movie and maybe it looking a little bit better just for cinematic purposes than kind of what we're seeing with it.
Yeah.
However,
well, I mean like you said, like that Batman one, that is definitely made for a modern audience with the freaking spine, the gold spine on the back. So that was some artistic approach there. But yeah, that's what all the helmets and stuff would look like. Oh, they even did a little more of the Cyclops.
More of the Cyclops, yeah.
So, what the armor would look like. I don't know if that would. I honestly think the actor, they them choices would probably keep people out of this movie, other than like the armor. So that's
that 98% of people who are going to see this movie are just going to view the armor that they're in as, oh, that's fucking old shit for this old story.
That's 100%. You know what? We can just leave it right there. That's 100% the truth. You know, we nerds obsess about things like historical accuracy. All the general audience needs to see is that it looks like old. Oh, that looks like old shit. I swear to God, I don't think the average person, the average American, if you ask them what would be the difference between the era in which the Civil War happened and the era in which the Roman Empire existed, I don't think they could tell you how far apart those eras were. I don't think they would even know. If you asked them, like, when was the Middle Ages? They might say something like, the 1800s? I really don't think the average person has any sense of time. Like, they They don't know. All they know is, oh, that looks like ancient shit. It's like ancient shit, knight stuff, samurai stuff, 1800 stuff. That's about it. I don't think that the temporal geography in the American mind goes much beyond that. So it'll be just fine for general audiences. I didn't know that Jay was sitting right behind us. I mean, I saw him there at the meetup, but I didn't know he was sitting right behind us. He's a tall guy. Oops. Unshare screen, Mr. Producer. Okay, back to me. Hat tip geeks and gamers. Okay, so let's move on, shall we? I regret to inform you, my dear chat, that it is a lot of unfortunate news on the... Well, that being said, there are a couple things. I think Odyssey is something to look forward to. I'm looking forward to it. Dune Messiah, I think that'll be awesome. Very excited for that. But the Avengers Doomsday situation is dire, so we got to get into that. Redoubt Production says people cannot grasp the time difference between 1775 and 1865. Let's not even touch the breadth of time between the 21st century and whenever the Odyssey is supposed to happen before the birth of Christ. Seriously, if I asked the average American, like, what year was that that you saw guys in armor like that, they'd probably say something like 1700s. No. Okay, so we have a leak of the Avengers trailer, which regrettably I did not see. However, they did see it over there at Geeks and Gamers, so we're going to get their report on it. Load that, Mr. Producer. Here we go. Roll tape.
We knew what Marvel's plan was going to be for the trailers for Avengers Doomsday a few weeks before it actually happened. We knew they were going to attach something to Avatar, Fire, and Ash, which, makes sense for Disney to do something like that for a movie that is going to be relatively big anyway. But obviously, then it came out that they were going to have multiple trailers playing over the first 4 weeks of Avatar in theaters. And the first one was Chris Evans. We saw that leak out a while ago. Everyone was talking about it. Then it actually got officially released. And even though everyone had already seen it and everyone had already known about it and heard about it, I almost spilled all this rum right here. Even though all those things, it still kind of exploded on social media when Marvel officially released it a few days after it had appeared in theaters. And it does kind of tell you that even as far gone as Marvel has been and the dog shit that they've been doing, there are so many more people that are interested in a character like Captain America than in any of the fucking characters they're pushing right now, including...
Yeah, I think all it would take is really good storytelling to come back, just like they were doing in the first three phases, and they could nurse this entire franchise right back to health. I think there is such an appetite for the MCU we had in those first three phases, because those movies... They were bright, they were fun, they were uplifting. There was no message baggage. They were just characters being the characters. If they brought that back and we could ditch all this bullshit about the first black Captain America and the first gay kiss, the first interspecies kiss with Nick Fury, we just dump all that bullshit and just get back to it's Captain America, it's Iron Man, it's the Hulk. I think these would explode back onto the scene.
Yeah. Black Captain America. Well, the next one is in theaters now, and it's all about Thor. And in the same way that Chris Evans, Captain America, it's kind of about this son this baby that he has now. Thor's is all about the daughter that he has now, which is kind of interesting. They're going with this father thing as like the first introduction to people for Avengers Doomsday. And yeah, the leaks are out there. You guys can go see it. We're not going to play it because it will be, it will be fucking taken down and blah, 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 all that stuff. But it's Thor, and it's Thor talking to Odin and talking about giving him the strength to do these things so he can get back to his daughter. And look, I have hated the last 2 Thor entries. I hated Thor Love and Thunder, and I hated Ragnarok. But while everybody was sucking Ragnarok off while it came out, I said, look, you might think it's funny, you might think it's fucking cool, but it doesn't make any sense. This isn't Thor. This isn't his character.
Yeah, Fu, man. I'm actually with you on that. Recast Hulk. I think I'm over Mark Ruffalo. Like, seriously.
They've changed him. It's so fucking goofy.
You know what's interesting about that? Like, I don't feel like I would enjoy the recasting of Captain America. That would be Steve Rogers, because Steve Rogers is Captain America. I wouldn't enjoy the recasting of Captain America, and I would obviously there's nobody who can replace Tony Stark with Robert Downey Jr. I get the feeling you could put just about any actor you want in the Hulk role, and I wouldn't miss Mark Ruffalo a bit. Like, not a bit.
Now, but people are like, no, it's so great, Taika Waititi. Well, then you got more of him, and you realize, oh wait, I was retarded for liking this in the first place. So even though I hated the last 2 entries into the Thor movie series, I do really like Chris Hemsworth and his approach in the aftermath of Thor Love and Thunder being a disappointment and so many people despising it. He came out there and admitted, look, it's been like, we did a lot of things wrong. We took it too far. People didn't appreciate it, and that's on us. He didn't blame the fans. He didn't fucking shit on fans. He kind of took it upon himself. And all along the way, he's been very grateful for the role, and it seems like he is passionate about playing the character and wants to play this character, which is something that not everybody in this fucking Hollywood space wants to do. So I hope they can do right by him. They fucked him in Ragnarok. They fucked him in Love and Thunder. They fucked him in Endgame. But, you know, hopefully they do him okay in Doomsday, but I don't know.
It is interesting. Why do they hate Thor so much? They really hate Thor. Well, you know what it is? I think Hollywood just hates that archetype. They hate the archetype of the warrior. They hate the masculine warrior hero. They hate that archetype. Fallout is a perfect example of this. They hate the Brotherhood of Steel. You can just tell the writers despise these characters. They are all stupid. They are all bullies. They're all a bunch of knuckle-dragging, bloodthirsty apes. They are hated by the writers of that show. And it's bizarre because, like, nobody who writes the Fallout show has played the Fallout games. I'm convinced. Or if they did, then they clearly are not representing what they played. So nothing is taken seriously, and I think it's the same with Thor. They hate that he is this warrior archetype. I can only imagine what they would do to Warhammer 40K if they got a hold of it. These wackos. Redoubt Production says, I, for one, welcome the collapse of the age of the superhero, not because I do not want people to have role models, but because conglomerates like Disney have proved they cannot write role models. Yeah, I mean, here's what's really collapsing the age of the superhero. Redoubt Productions. A profundity occurred to me, and I mentioned it, I think, last week on the stream. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying. And the profundity that occurred to me was this. It's a little bit of a chicken or the egg argument, but we like to say, well, you know, the modern Hollywood doesn't understand superheroes, and so they're not creating authentic superheroes. But I would say it actually goes deeper than that. I think the superhero character is a myth, a mythological character that naturally emerged from modern American society. Think about it. If you lived in, let's say, 1300s England, who would the heroes of stories be? Well, they would be characters like St. George slaying the dragon, a knight on a quest to destroy a dragon, right? If you were an ancient Greek, what would your stories of heroes and conquest be? Well, it would be characters like Hercules, half god, half man, defying the gods, fighting for mortals, right? That would have been your hero. So, in other words, what I'm getting at is in previous times, the ethic of the civilized hero was in the form of something that was actually represented in society already. A knight, a hoplite, someone that was already in that role. I think that in modern civilized American society, that archetype had sort of vanished, because that's why Westerns were so popular, because the idea of the lawman versus the outlaw in the Wild West was part of that. That was the samurai, that was the knight, that was Beowulf, that was the modern-ish incarnation of that. But I think that once we got past the Wild West era, there was this lack of the idea of the independent, heroic warrior taking on dark forces of the world. And so what I think happened was we came up with a new archetype for that, which was an otherwise ordinary person who is gifted with superpowers and uses them to become a warrior to fight evil. Thus became the superhero. So really, I think what the superhero was, it was a direct outgrowth of the modern American ethic about truth and justice and freedom. But that ethic is no longer in a prime place in our society. That is no longer an ethic that we even agree on as a civilization. Therefore, the reason for superheroes to exist no longer exists. So I don't even think it's just a matter of the right people writing superheroes. We don't have a culture in which that archetype has a purpose anymore. Just like we don't have a culture in which knights in armor are directly relevant to us as representatives of heroic ideals. Neither are samurai, neither are Old West lawmen. None of those archetypes fit anymore. And unfortunately, unless we still had a civilizational belief in the idea of the independent person taking on dark forces and doing the right thing because it's right, unless we still had that shared ethic as a culture, there's no reason for that archetype to exist, and it doesn't exist. So where does that leave us? Well, I think it leaves us in a weird limbo where we are, we're warming up the leftovers here and there, but I don't think we have an archetype that represents our culture, because I don't think we have a shared culture. We don't have a shared culture anymore. We don't believe in the American way. It's been expunged from all of our media. We live in a strange purgatory as a culture right now, in which all we're really doing is fighting over whether or not we even have one. Now, that's not to be a black pill. That's not to doom, because I'm not saying that there isn't a happy ending to that tale. There very well may be, but we're just going to have to work for it. What I'm saying is we are in a place in history in which we're a little bit at sea right now as a culture. We're lost at sea, and we're looking for land, and we will find land, but we're the lucky ones that are just sort of in that era in which we are either moving towards, I think, a collapse entirely and a total fragmentation and dissolution of our society, or a reformation, a renaissance, a refounding of our society. Those are the two possibilities I see before us, and I am pretty optimistic that we're actually seeing signs that we're on the path of the latter. I think we are actually in the midst of a kind of renaissance, reformation. History looks awfully rosy in hindsight. You can look back and say, oh, the Renaissance, that's when peasants suddenly got more liberties and started becoming traders, and suddenly there was more wealth, and society changed for the better, and then books were being mass printed, and science started to flourish. Yeah, but for a long time, it was bleak. For a long time, that wasn't happening. There was a long period between the Black Death and the Renaissance where things just sucked. On the way to the Renaissance and the new Golden Age. So I'm not saying it's a dooming thing. I'm saying the old archetypes are basically dead, and we are on the way to something new. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I'm optimistic it'll be something good.
Can you come out and say, he probably won't do another Thor film unless the script is right or something along those lines? Did he kind of make mention? I mean,
That's right, Darth Merlin. I forgot about that. Nolan's brother, Jonathan Nolan, the lesser of the Nolans, writes the Fallout show. Let me check something real quick because I was watching the credits on Fallout. I did not see Nolan in the actual episode writing credits. Let me see here. Let me find the IMDb on this. I'm just telling you, the people writing this, they think that the world of Fallout is a wacky, zany, stupid parody. That's what they think it is. It's not even exaggeration. That's literally what it is. It's a parody of American culture. That's what Fallout. It's a parody. Honestly, well, it even says right here at IMDb, the very first tag for genre, dark comedy. That's what it is. It's a dark comedy show. Dystopian sci-fi. Shut the fuck up. It's dystopian sci-fi. Let's see. Second episode of season 2 was written by Chris Brady Denton and Chaz Hawkins. Let's look up these idiots. Let's see what we're working with here. In fact, let me load this up on this screen over here.
That's good, So maybe he's really happy with the script in Doomsday, or he's really happy with the paycheck that he got.
$20 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, right here. Get rid of that. Okay, cool. Get rid of that. All right, so our two writers are Chaz Hawkins, Chris Brady Denton. I just want to see what their credits are here. Let's see, writer credits. So this is another unproven stooge. Shadow of Snow short, The Passenger short, Quarantines TV series staff writer. So he's been a staff writer and he wrote 2 short films. This is a guy who's never written shit then. He's never written anything. He's a brand new, unproven writer. Incompetent boob. That would be Chaz, one of the geniuses writing Fallout. So there's an idiot right there. Let's see the other one. Oh, come on. IMDb is such trash. Just so swamped with ads. I want to see writing credits. Literally, there's nothing else. That's it. This other guy's done nothing. Chris Brady Denton. My God, these people have never played Fallout, and they are complete retards. That's who's writing Fallout. Nothing is worse to me when I hear someone say, like, well, I mean, the show's okay. It's like, okay, well, fine. It's garbage, and it fucking hates Fallout. So if you think that's great, that you're entitled to that opinion. But you are being snookered because they have no respect for you as a fan of the show, of the video game series. They have no respect for the lore. They nuked the new California Republic was nuked out of existence in the TV show off screen for no reason whatsoever. Just, oh no, it's gone. They blew it up. They literally established that the reason that the Great War starts in Fallout is because Vault Tech gets together with the heads of all the major companies of the Fallout world, and they decided to nuke the planet in order to make more profit. That is literally the explanation for how the Great War started. It's literally the goal of Lucy's father. He is a corporate middle manager who is doing his job and getting ready to make profits from a brain implant that all it does is make their heads explode. This show is so fucking stupid. And people are like, well, it's okay. No, it isn't. All right, close that one. Am I being too aggressive, Mr. Producer? Yeah, well, I guess it's what they tune in for. All right, roll tape.
So, it's one or the other. But, yeah, hopefully. I don't...
You know what? I think that pretty much sums it up. I think we're done with that one. Thank you, Mr. Producer. Now, there is a type of fan who is very excited for Avengers Doomsday. They are super stoked on it. They can't wait for it. That's because they lack something known as standards. It's not their fault. They suffer from a disease. The disease is known as Shillery by proxy. It's congenital, it's incurable, and the prognosis, I'm afraid to say, is quite grim. They suffer. They suffer terribly. They have no ability to relate to ordinary, regular humans like you and me. They clap like seals for things that are obvious trash because they hope that their corporate masters will reward them with gifts and goodie bags. And they have retained a lifetime supply of virginity. It's a tragedy. They're what's known as a shill. But fortunately for us, there is a scientist, a man of great intelligence and learning, who studies the shill carefully and intuits their strange idiosyncratic moods in hopes that one day he can devise, if not a cure for them, an inoculation for us to prevent the spread of Shillery by proxy to normal, functional human beings. He's known as Mr. Grizzy. He is a servant of humanity. And it turns out the shills are very excited. Well, that is to say, they're very unhappy about Steve Rogers coming back and usurping the role that rightfully belongs to a black man, that being Captain America. It's the Mass Effect music. It's so good. Okay, so the tweet on screen is from Nuka Red Panda. So YouTube, I reported this channel. Oh, this must be for Mr. Grizzy. I reported this channel for being a homophobic racist a while back, and nothing happened to the channel. Why is this? As he hates Miles as he is black. He hates Sam Wilson as he is black. He hates Pedro Pascal as he looks Mexican. He hates Ironheart as she is black. These people are fucking stupid, man. These are stupid human beings. It's hard to understand and grasp how dumb some people can be, but they really are, like they actually believe this is how they actually see the world. They actually, this is why I say they're so stupid. They actually think that YouTube gives a fuck about any of these issues. YouTube is part of a megalomaniacal giant corporation. It cares about making obscene amounts of money, extracting all of the data from your life it possibly can to use to advertise to you and convert you, a human being, into a product for them. They do not care about racism. They do not care about misogyny or homophobia. They do not care about democracy. They care about literally nothing. The last thing in the world they care about is a sad woke libtard named Nuka Red Panda who thinks that they actually want your help reporting a so-called racist channel. Pathetic. Oh, these are great. The racism shown towards Sam and his fans just from one Doomsday leak, and y'all are wondering why Sam fans are dramatic or toxic.
Racist. The ones that were immediately going, Captain America could never be black man, blah, 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 blah. That was
said no one ever. You know, this is the best way to describe how leftists operate. This will solve all your problems debating with a leftist, okay? They deliberately, everything they do, they deliberately misunderstand the argument so that it's impossible to argue with them. Okay, notice this. They always deliberately misunderstand what people are saying so that it's impossible to have a conversation with them. Nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying that Captain America can't be a black man. No one has anything against an American representative character who is black. No one is against that. Nobody has ever made that argument. The argument that they make is that this particular character is not. But see, the leftist does not, the wacko shill does not care about that. You have to get this. They're not interested in logic. They're not interested in reason. Seriously, they don't actually care what's logical or consistent. It's not important to them. And the last thing they care about is what's true. What they care about is deliberately confusing and misunderstanding the argument so that they can paint you as a non-person, and they then have permission to silence, censor, shame, bully, or destroy you. This is how the leftist operates. And this is why I say they have a sick worldview.
not great. Like, it literally did actively, you did actively kind of do that.
Sam Wilson's Captain America deserved his own Earth-based Avengers film. When are these stupid wackos going to get it? Deserve is irrelevant. It's irrelevant what anyone or anything deserves. That has nothing to do with what movies get made. See, this goes back to what I said about how, like, modern employees of film and video game studios mistakenly believe, erroneously believe, that the purpose of them having a job working on a film, a TV show, or a video game is so that they have a job working on a film, a TV show, or a video game. That's not the purpose. This loon thinks that the purpose of a superhero film is so that Sam Wilson gets to be in a superhero film. That's not the purpose of the film, and that's not why it gets made or not made. Resume quote, Marvel Studios backtracking and not believing in their plan or cast and caving to rage-baiting racist losers leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
What a fucking bitch, am I right?
So Soy Wilson has been demoted for Avengers Doomsday and replaced by Steve Rogers, the white man.
White?
Go away.
And the handful of people who are still fans of Soy Wilson.
That's so true. The handful of people, the 7 or 8 people that give a fuck about Sam Wilson
are pissed off about it.
I tell you this, the thing that I don't like is the discourse that's happening now since this thing got leaked.
Oh my God, the fucking tone policing, the constant Karen hall monitor tone policing of society. Nobody cares, Roka, you fat slob. Nobody cares what you think of what they think.
A few days ago, it's like, thank God Captain America is coming back and gonna save us from Sam Wilson's Captain America.
Damn right. Damn right. Damn right. Yeah.
And I've seen some people go like, well, if people wanted Sam Wilson's Captain America, they would have watched the show with larger numbers or gone to see the movie in larger numbers. And that's utter bullshit.
There is a level of giving those actual people that are racist that have been clamoring.
Yeah.
The Captain America is always white. It's always Steve, and it's nobody but Steve. Like, it gives them fuel.
And I mean, like, a special fuck you to the real Captain America is back. Screw you guys, Chris Evans.
Your terms are acceptable. Steve Rogers is Captain America. Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Evans would hate you.
But I feel like this is just a huge slap in the face to Anthony Mackie's and his Cap, dude. Like,
their wokeness, you guys, just won't allow them to get excited for this movie.
It keeps me from being super excited. It keeps me from being like, yeah, Chris Evans is. I'm like, Steve Rogers. No, I don't know. I just hope this doesn't fuel the fire for the not my Cap assholes online, right? The guys that are like, it's always been
too late.
It's got to be Chris Evans, and it's going to be Chris Evans no matter what.
Right.
That's what kind of worries me.
Because these soy boys and these SJW Marvel fans care more about DEI, care more about representation and inclusion, care more about identity politics. They care more about all that bullshit than they do about giving a majority of the fans what they want.
Because you didn't want to go into the black politics of a black Captain America in America because you got scared, because you're coward.
Which is the only thing that could have made Captain America Brave New World worse, by the way.
What it's like to be a black superhero. They open for a country with a history of racism against black people like our country has.
I thought we were past this.
There should have been much more of that in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
These fucking losers have poisoned our culture for so many years. They've spent fat slobs like John Roca have spent so many years brainwashing the youth of America to hate America, to feel guilty about America, when we're the country that feeds the world, protects the world, and ends things like slavery. None of this was a problem until these fat slob SJWs came along and started poisoning all of the discourse in every corner of society with this crap. We were minding our own business, enjoying our Warhammer, our Dungeons and Dragons, our Magic the Gathering, our Halo, our Star Wars, our Star Trek. We were minding our own damn business. And social justice wackos like this guy came along and started telling us about histories of racism and white privilege and misogyny. And then they forced it down our throat. And now that we are regurgitating this garbage and puking it back onto them and saying we don't want it anymore, now they're acting like, well, you see, that just proves we were right. I just despise these people. I despise them. And it's their turn to lose.
Like, if you have Ryan Coogler doing Falcon and Winter Soldier, that is a completely different series.
So the argument is that Sam Wilson has failed as a character because Disney Marvel did not lean hard enough into identity politics and racism in America in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
They will never let a black man be Captain America.
You have to stop calling them terrorists.
I feel it. The stares, the judgment. And there's nothing I can do to change it.
Pledge allegiance to that, my brother.
This sucks. Yeah, you really sucks.
And then you go into you go into Brave New World, and the idea of him being a black Captain America with a white president, and the president doesn't agree with him politically, that could have been a gold mine of conflict and really interesting back and forth.
No.
Now, a normal person would probably say, with regards to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that going the identity politics and the America is racist route with the show is probably one of, if not the biggest reason that show failed. But no, you guys, it was COVID, and that's the excuse.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, because it was so affected by COVID, I mean... Yeah. It had nothing to do with the creatives involved. It had nothing to do with the actors. It had nothing to do with the writing. It was the fact that the world shut down.
Bullshit. Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it's basically a show with its
Wrangler saying they want to make it all about ethnicity, yet ignore how well-loved characters like Storm, Black Panther, Luke Cage, Spawn, Static Shock, Blade, Jon Stewart, and others are. They make no sense. 100%. And you know what's so bizarre? Their arguments never are. They only go in one direction. It's racism, and it's a horror. It's a horrific sign of the times. If you argue that because the character of Steve Rogers was originally white, he should continue to be white, that's evil, that's racist, you hate black people. But if you were ever to suggest, even as a joke, that Ryan Gosling should be the next Black Panther, it literally sends them into orbit. That's evil, that's terrible, that's anti-black. They don't really care about any of it. See, returning to my original point, when you understand that the leftists, they pretend that they're making a rational argument. It's actually a rhetorical technique. They act as though they're making a rational argument, but the point that they're arguing with is their own deliberate misunderstanding of what was actually said. Okay, so if you say, well, I think that because the character of Steve Rogers was originally drawn as, a white guy named Steve Rogers from the 1940s, I think that for continuity of character, he should remain that character. And they say, oh, so you think that a white man can only a white man can be Captain America. Only a white man can ever have that mantle. Well, actually, no, that's not at all what I said. Oh, so you do hate black people. So they deliberately misunderstand what you're actually saying. If they ever cast a white guy as Bishop, I'd be pissed. Well, my best example is this. Godzilla Minus One is one of my favorite films of all time, and there is 0% non-Japanese people in the film. 0%. The film is about post-World War II Japan. It's about Japanese people fighting against the invasion of Godzilla. All of the actors in the film are Japanese actors, and they speak Japanese. It's concerned with Japanese culture and history and customs. It's marvelous, it's beautiful, it's brilliant. There's not a scintilla of diversity that would have benefited that film. And it's time we just get back to being honest about things like that.
I think its knees cut out from under it because of COVID and what have you.
So COVID, that's one excuse as to why Sam Wilson sucks. Anything else?
Brave New World, again, not Mackey's fault.
Flashback. Oh, this is beautiful. This is perfect. It's the cycle. It's the cycle. These losers, these dumb shills, they every single time they're like, it's gonna be good. Stop judging it before it comes out, chuds. Then it comes out. Oh my God, it's 10 out of 10. It's the best damn Captain America movie ever. Oh, we are so back. And then like 2 months later, oh, it was a great movie. I mean, it had a couple of things that maybe weren't the best, but that's okay. Listen, just because it had a soft box office doesn't mean it wasn't cool. Another 2 months later, I mean, it was kind of a mediocre movie. We all know that. But I loved it. I'm a huge fan. I don't mind it at all. And then finally we reached the end stage. Well, listen, it was a disaster, but that wasn't his fault. They're such liars. They're such phonies. How do they have an audience? How do they have people watching them?
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
End of flashback. Again, not Mackey's fault.
Maybe not all his fault, but as you saw in that clip, he certainly didn't help much.
Feige trying to go cheap, getting newer writers who don't have as much experience, directors who don't have as much experience, and then
If I was a man named Shannon, I would change my first name.
Look at the Russo brothers. They gave him Civil War and Winter Soldier. If you had given Sam Wilson Civil War and Winter Soldier, people would have resonated with Sam Wilson much more.
What, are you retarded?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Sam Wilson in Civil War? Wasn't Sam Wilson also in Winter Soldier?
Sam Wilson.
Steve Rogers.
I kind of put that together.
Actually, Sam Wilson has been in every MCU movie that the Russo brothers have directed, and they built him up well as the Falcon. And then Marvel went woke, they hired a bunch of activist directors, and they turned Sam Wilson into Soy Wilson.
You've got to do better, Senator.
Captain America Brave New World bombed at the box office, and now here we are. In order for Disney Marvel to...
Yeah, totally agree, Wrangler. We like the character of Sam Wilson when he's written as his own man. As Falcon. Falcon is cool. Just don't shoehorn him into a role that doesn't fit his character. Yeah, our politics in our society is so poisoned and so miserable. It strips the joy and beauty out of literally everything. Sports, escapism, films, TV, board games, absolutely no area. Shopping for fucking clothes, cereal boxes, everything in our society has been poisoned by left-wing wackoism, which is constantly angry about something, constantly upset about some sin of our past, constantly rabble-rousing malcontents, seeking to sow division and hatred and misery, never allowing anyone to be happy or joyful or excited. If you say Merry Christmas, it's a dog whistle for Christian nationalist Nazis, which of course would be an oxymoron because the Nazis were secular and anti-Christian, but that's beside the point. The point is, this discourse poisons everything, and it is long past time that we are doing it. This is what you're witnessing. We are starting to, as a society, as an exhausted, tired, just beaten down, browbeaten populace, we are finally starting to run these assholes out of town on the rails. We are tarring and feathering them publicly, social media speaking wise. Is that a phrase? I don't know. In terms of social media, we're finally running them out of town on the rails, tar and feathering them, and saying, shut the fuck up, loser. Which is what they need to hear.
Make money off of Avengers Doomsday, they had to bring back Steve Rogers and give the racists what they want.
And that's not what you want to do, right? Exactly what I think is a great point you make. You don't want to give them fodder for their racism and almost, in a sense, court it.
And the funny thing is that most of the people these freaks are talking about and calling racist aren't even all that excited for Steve Rogers' return anyway. We are all calling it a desperate, nostalgia bait, key jingling cameo fest of a movie that seems to be prioritizing cramming in as many big names as possible while sacrificing telling a good and compelling story.
That is a freaking brilliant point by Grizzy right there. He's so right about that. Quite aside from this whole argument about Steve Rogers versus Sam Wilson, we who like Steve Rogers as Captain America, as played by Chris Evans, we're not even arguing that it's a good thing. We're not even saying like he's going to be awesome. We're saying this is desperation. This is key jangling. This is a distraction. It's not going to change what we know, which is Avengers Doomsday is going to be a complete disaster. Because of course it is.
But, as always with these people, it's much easier to ignore that conversation and instead focus on the if you don't like Sam Wilson, you're racist narrative.
But you gave ammo to racists. The ones that were immediately going, Captain America could never be black man, blah, blah.
We cannot live this way. We just cannot live this way as a society, as a culture, as a country. This has got to stop. We cannot live with this constant attempt to categorize half of the entire population as evil. This is absolutely insane. These people are trying to gatekeep movies from half of their fellow Americans. As if they even could do that if they wanted to. We don't have to live this way. And we're not going to live this way.
That was not great.
All right, everyone. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, by the way. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.
Hat tip Mr. Grizzy, another barn burner. Brilliant. As always. I'm just curious. Oh, does this have a good Ryan Kinnell meltdown? I just want to check this real quick. I'm not going to play it unless there's a Ryan Kinnell meltdown. Because those are just delicious. Merry Christmas, Grizzy, says Fu Man Blue. Yes, Merry Christmas, Mr. Grizzy. You're a mean one, Mr. Grizzy. You're as rotten as an eel. Let's see here. Just skimming through. Yes. I'm skimming through a Kinnell video just to see if he's yelling. Yeah, there's no good yelling in that one. Okay, skip that one. Do I have any clips of him in the usual stack? I don't think so. I wish I did, though. But I will say we need, not only do we need Captain America back, but we need right. We need Captain America Cat. Who doesn't love the bravest kitten? Okay, now I think we're going to do a little bit of Nerdrotic's Force Awakens Revisited. I've been kind of saving this one. It's a long video, so I don't think I'm going to do all of it. But it's been, I believe, 10 years since Force Awakens debuted. And Nerdrotic is doing a retrospective. And I remember liking Force Awakens when it came out. It's fascinating how in the fullness of time, it's become a very different story. So I thought we would check that out. Share audio, Mr. Producer. And here we go.
So acquiring all of Lucasfilm's operating businesses, including Industrial Light and Magic and Skywalker Sound. George Lucas is a true visionary and an innovative epic storyteller who has defined modern filmmaking with unforgettable characters and amazing stories. And this gives Disney infinite inspiration and opportunities to continue the epic Star Wars saga. Fans can expect a new feature film, Star Wars Episode 7, in theaters worldwide in 2015.
I bypassed the compressor.
Best scene ever, right? Come on. So that's the kind of stuff that, like, the investment of character, which is the stuff that really is inside the box. It's why when people do sequels or rip off movies, the genre.
This cut of J.J. Abrams giving his mystery box TED talk to all of the First Order stormtroopers is hilarious.
They're ripping off the wrong thing. If you rip something off. Rip off the character, rip off the stuff that matters. I mean, look inside yourself and figure out what is inside you, because ultimately, the mystery box is all of us.
It's kind of sad that we have to tear it down. That's the thing about movies. I always like, really? We built this amazing thing and now we have to tear it down.
Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 1 million practitioners of common sense and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. Let's start this video with a couple of questions. How long does it take for a film to become a classic, and what makes a classic film? To answer the first one, outside of some rare exceptions, the general consensus is it takes between 10 and 25 years. And to answer the second question, a film becomes a classic through a rare blend of timeless storytelling, artistic innovation, deep emotional resonance, and lasting cultural significance, allowing it to endure beyond fleeting trends by connecting it with audiences across generations through memorable characters, profound themes, and cinematic milestones that influence filmmaking itself. creating a shared experience that stands the test of time. And that's everything Disney's Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens isn't. Sure, The Force Awakens is the number 5 highest grossing film of all time without adjusting for inflation, grossing $2.07 billion worldwide, and the 11th highest grossing film of all time with adjusting for inflation. And that has everything to do with the hype being built up for this film, the likes that we haven't seen since the original Star Wars. On that infamous date of October 30th, 2012, George famously sold Star Wars to Disney, and at the time, everyone thought it was a good idea, except for George. But he did it anyway, and his last act was to hire Kathleen Kennedy as president of Lucasfilm, another thing that everybody pretty much thought was a good idea at the time. They brought back Lawrence Kasdan, the screenwriter for films like The Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark. They brought back the greatest film composer of all time, John Williams. And they hired J.J. Abrams to direct, a decision that probably made Red Letter Media really happy at the time.
In fact, J.J. Abrams should have directed the prequels, and George Lucas should have directed people to their seats in the theater.
Oh, wow. Oh, that did not age well at all. You know, it's interesting that Nerdrotic brings that up. I remember that. I was like, the screenwriter of Empire Strikes Back, that's a great choice. Like, everything looked like it was going in the right direction at that time. And I will even say this. I read a long article when the film was not out yet, Force Awakens, and it was an interview with J.J. Abrams talking about his approach to it. And he was talking about how, like, he was insisting on using actual, like, puppets, practical effects, animatronics. And I thought that's really cool, because one of the criticisms I had of the prequels of Star Wars was that they were very heavy on CGI. Everything was a green screen, like everything. Everything you see in those movies is a green screen, even the clone troopers. And that was it was too much. You know, it was too much unreality. And I liked that J.J. Abrams seemed to understand that a balance between CGI and practical effects was really a better approach. So all of the early signs looked good. And it was very difficult to predict how bad it was actually going to be.
To be fair, a lot of people thought that was a good idea at the time as well. And we were going to get Han, Luke, and Leia back together in a Star Wars movie. What could possibly go wrong? It turns out everything, because time reveals all. And considering Disney and Lucasfilm are not celebrating the 10th anniversary of the 5th highest grossing film of all time, The Force Awakens, but YouTubers should tell all. You ever have a plan that seemed like a neat idea at the time, but when you eventually got around to it, it wasn't? That would be my Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens 10th anniversary review.
There's been an awakening.
All teams, give it everything you got!
Stop taking my hand!
You don't know what I've seen.
I bypassed the compressor.
Compressor.
We're home.
No, 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 no. Hell no, no, no. I refuse. No, no.
This is all for posterity because I wasn't making videos at the time of its release, and it's all from the perspective of hindsight. How did I feel when I first saw it back in 2015? Well, I hated it because they killed Han Solo, but then I saw everybody liking it and thought, well, maybe it's just me. So I watched it a second time and started questioning my own beliefs and reality, and then watched it a third time and decided I still hated it, and haven't watched it since until now.
I immediately regret this decision.
Admittedly, it starts out really good. They got the Lucasfilm Limited logo, although there's no George Lucas. They got a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? The powerful and iconic Star Wars theme, the Star Wars logo, but the problems start with the opening crawl. Luke Skywalker has vanished. Ooh, that's interesting. I wonder what happened there. Then from the ashes of the Empire, we hear about the First Order, which is essentially the Second Empire. Man, it's only been 30 years. I wonder what the hell happened. Han, Luke, and Leia must have really f***ed this one up. And apparently, They aren't going to be happy until Luke Skywalker, The Last Jedi, is destroyed. What are they going to do? Start a smear campaign and unearth some problematic 10-year-old galactic tweets? And my favorite part, Princess Leia is now General Leia, because in the eyes of the intersectional feminist, demoting a woman from the higher feminine rank of princess to the lower masculine rank of general is feminist. And General Leia, with the help of the New Republic, is forming a resistance against the First.
That is one thing I'll say. So I agree with him on like the start of the movie. All of that was, I thought, really great, felt right. I thought the first opening sequence was really cool. I remember thinking in the theater the whole time, the First Order and the how can the predominant government be the resistance? That didn't make any sense to me. So I always thought that was an incredibly stupid. I remember Google searching at the time. I remember being like, I'm like, explain this First Order thing to me, because I don't get it. And it's not explained in the movie. And none of the explanations I found on like Wikipedia were satisfying.
Order, which in truth is the Second Empire. Now, how exactly do you form a resistance when you are part of the established government known as the New Republic? I'm not really sure. I guess it's easier than calling it resisting the resistance. As we know now, they don't provide any background or context to Princess Leia becoming General Leia, the rise of the First Order, and making a resistance out of the established government in the actual film. Instead, you can read multiple comics and novels. No, not the expanded universe that Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm canceled in 2014.
You realize that, like, at this time, the resistance was the resistance to Donald Trump. That was basically what it is. Hail the God Emperor, man. It was the resist. Resist is always good. Resist is always good in the leftist worldview. But the ironic thing about it is the Imperial Remnant, which is what in the extended universe the Second Empire really was. The Imperial Remnant became a resistance after they were overthrown and the New Republic was founded. Now they were the insurgents. They were the resistance. So the evil empire becomes the resistance. But you can't have that. No, you can't have that in social justice world, because that would be calling a resistance evil. You can't do that. The resistance is good.
A whole new set of comics and books. That tells...
Right, exactly, Fu Man Blue. The First Order were the rebels. They were the rebels. Wrangler saying they should have hired some actual Star Wars fans and let them demo the sets with reckless abandon. Exactly.
Side stories and build the world of the new Disney Star Wars universe that are immediately contradicted in the Disney Star Wars films. And let's not forget, Disney hired legendary actor Max von Sydow to play the legendary Star Wars character Lor San Tekka, whose lore you have to get from books and comics that will be immediately contradicted.
A good question for another time.
And the very first line of dialogue not only takes a shot at the prequels, it takes a shot at George Lucas.
This will begin to make things right.
Something I definitely recall from that time was the critics loved that line. They loved it. And there's definitely some rose-tinted goggles going on here about the past. There's some romanticizing of the past. There was a lot of people who were excited about this being different than the prequels, because it's like the failure of the sequels is so incredible, and the failure of Disney Star Wars TV is so thorough that people forget that before Disney Star Wars, the prequels, to be a fan of the prequels was to be a little bit embattled, because the prequels got so much criticism for so many things. And so when that line was the first line, frankly, a lot of people who even liked the prequels were on board with that line. This will begin to set things right, meaning this will be what the prequels should have been like. Not so CGI heavy, not such clunky dialogue, back to the basics like that. A lot of people were on board with that. And the critics most especially.
Well, I can't imagine why George said this.
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and And okay, but
and this is where The Force Awakens settles down to be a requel. What is a requel? And yes, this is a real term. Well, it is both a remake and a sequel. It will usually...
Fu Man says to be a fan of the prequels is to be a loser. Are you not a fan of the prequels, Fu Man? You know what? I just watched Revenge of the Sith as a Christmas movie with my cousin, because that's our tradition now. And we watched Revenge of the Sith. It's so fantastic. I love that movie every time. It's my second favorite Star Wars film. Easily. It's a brilliant movie with some very dumb, clunky dialogue, to be sure. But it really is a brilliant film. I mean, do I have to do this? I guess I have to do this, Mr. Producer. I have no choice. I have too many clips in here. It's in here somewhere, damn it. Here, go to this one, Mr. Producer. There it is. Yeah, roll that one.
I'm telling you, this finale, it's unbelievable how tepid contemporary art seems compared to the passionate quality of this finale. So you have this like huge, it's like romantic nature painting, apocalyptic landscape of the lava. Lucas cross-cuts the destruction of the Senate chamber, and you have the destruction of industry going on. And then, after all these horrors, it is so beautiful. I'm saying, my God, nothing in the last 30 years in any of the arts has been produced as emotionally compelling and significant as the finale of Revenge of the Sith.
100%. It's Wrangler with a $4.20 super chat. Why, thank you, Wrangler. As he's heading out the door. I appreciate it, sir. Says nothing, as is his custom. Fu Man says, I recently bought the last movie, but I can't sit through it at all. I just skip to the fights. Which last movie? Thanks, Wrangler.
Throw in some old characters to pass the torch and acknowledge that the original film exists, so it can technically be called a sequel, but in truth, it's just a lazy remake. And this one is the granddaddy, or the grandmommy, of them all. In a stunning twist, instead of the Empire infiltrating a rebel vessel where some secret plans are given to a droid who escapes, the First Order, or the Second Empire, infiltrates a resistance village where a clue is given to a droid who escapes. See, totally different. Speaking of totally different, the totally not Empire, that's the First Order, is led by Duck Vader and some stormtroopers with a slight redesign. And yes, I know this was pointed out 10 years ago, but hell, I'm going to still do it anyway. Once you see the duck bill, you can't unsee it.
On top of George's reaction, there was a lot of speculation in the press and from die-hard fans about how we were going to Disney-fy Star Wars. But Lucas fans needed to be reassured that we too were fans first, respectful of the creator and looking to expand on his legacy, not usurp.
The use of Bill the Butcher.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
So let's dive into the mystery box. What the hell is that, you ask, dear viewer? Good question. It's a storytelling technique popularized by Jar Jar Abrams, where the central question or enigma is introduced early on to hook the...
6 Star Wars films, Fu Man Blue. I think you meant to say that there are only 6 Star Wars films.
Audience's curiosity, building suspense through hints and revelations, while often prioritizing the intrigue over a fully satisfying resolution. Or in Jar Jar Abrams' case, any resolution at all, as we will find out with The Force Awakens, because mystery box storytelling is essentially a shortcut that relies heavily on hype, so you can avoid pesky little things like characterization and a coherent substantive narrative. For example, the opening of this film, where they could have introduced the new characters through the classic characters who everyone came to this movie to see. But why do what everybody expects, and you've already waited 32 years when the film came out, so what's another 45 minutes to an hour to 2 hours and 10 minutes? We are introduced to the quick-witted, daring, and brave Poe Dameron, who's the best pilot in the Resistance that's sponsored by the established government. How do we know this? Well, we're told it.
I had no idea we had the best pilot in the Resistance on board.
See, I did say that.
He is sent to totally not Tatooine to find the MacGuffin, which is a clue to Luke Skywalker's whereabouts. And we get an example of his quick-wittedness when he is eventually captured by Kylo Ren and decides to get a little cheeky with the villagers' lives hanging in the balance.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
who are summarily executed, and he doesn't give it a second thought, and the only reason he's kept alive is because he has a clue where the clue is, which was given to his droid, totally not R2-D2, BB-8, who now wanders the wasteland of totally not Tatooine, Jakku. Unlike Poe, the one character who was mortified at these...
It was hard to kind of see it at the time. I'm thinking back to that line where he says, who talks first? You talks first or me? And at first it seemed like a cocky, kind of cool line for a character. I look back on it now just in the fullness of time, and it's like I see the same phenomenon that I see in the Fallout show. It's like this kind of... They just don't take it seriously. They just don't... These things are created by people who don't love Star Wars. You can say all you want, Fu Man Blue, that the prequels aren't real Star Wars. You can say that till you're blue in the face. George Lucas made films from a place of love for the universe he created, and that definitely shows and comes through in those films. But what we have with the sequel trilogy is people who don't love Star Wars, who kind of resent it, think it's sort of dumb. And really the MCU suffers from this also. The DCU suffers from this. Pretty much all modern sci-fi. Avatar, Fire and Ash suffers from this. They know that science fiction and nerds are stupid. See, don't believe this bullshit that nerds are cool. They're not. People pretending and LARPing like they're nerds is cool, but nobody actually thinks that true nerds are cool, because guess what nerds care about? Nerds want to know the technobabble. Nerds want to hear the explanation of how the folding interstellar hyperspace drive works. They want to know those kinds of things. I want to know those kinds of things. But what do we always get when we get a line of dialogue in an MCU movie or a science fiction show? It's like, oh, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares about that, nerd. Exactly. And that's how these things are treated. So you have a serious scene in which villagers are being held hostage, an evil Sith Lord is holding them all at bay, and he acts like he doesn't give a shit, and it's all dopey and faintly ridiculous. Which is what they think of Fallout, it's what they think of Star Trek, it's what they think of Star Wars and Dungeons and Dragons, it's what they think of all of it. They think it's stupid, and they resent having to write movies about it.
Slaughter of an entire village is the stormtrooper who changes sides, arguably the most intriguing character of the Disney trilogy, Finn. We also meet two of the three of our big baddies, Bill Weasley from Harry Potter and Kylo Ren played by Adam Driver. And you got to give the guy credit. He did his best with absolutely nothing, and yes, he would have been a great Snape. And they are on the hunt for the last Jedi, aside from Ahsoka Tano, Ezra Bridger, and Baby Yoda, Luke Skywalker. And
so freaking true. Aside from Ahsoka Tano, Ezra Bridger, and Baby Yoda, they're on the hunt for the last Jedi.
Would be a shame for the First Order.
Not even all of them, because you've also got the last remnants of the Jedi in Balin. You've got Balin out there. There's all kinds of Jedi running around the galaxy. Order 66 missed like 60% of them.
Pretty well in his absence to spend so much time and resources looking for a guy who's basically a quitter who went to an island and has no intention of leaving and never does. Anyway, then of course there is our main character, female Luke Skywalker, Rey, the personification of the Mary Sue, so much so it made it a household name. But she's totally different from Luke Skywalker. Her desert planet has a different name, Jakku. And unlike that pathetic Luke Skywalker who needed to be raised by an aunt and uncle and watched over by a Jedi Knight, she raised herself after her parents bailed on her. And Disney Star Wars Rey lives in the husk of an all-terrain armed transport. That's what you call unintended symbolism. She's a survivalist, a scavenger, a master mechanic, a master pilot, and somehow can live on an inhospitable, lawless planet without getting assaulted. How did she manage all of this? Who are her parents? What's her last name?
Like Lucy, who just wanders la-di-da through the wasteland of Fallout, being insanely, stupidly nice to everyone, which makes no sense because she would have been trained in survival skills in the Fallout shelters, but she's such a dumb character, Lucy in Fallout, and yet somehow completely has like just stacks of plot armor protecting her from what would obviously happen in a post-apocalyptic hellscape. See, this is why modern movies suck. Not because that stuff doesn't happen, but because you can't make a movie that's honest about what would happen. Like, watch the original Mad Max film. That movie is brutal as hell, and it pulls no punches. That's why 70s and 80s movies were better.
That I'm sure will be resolved in a very thrilling, coherent, and satisfying way in future films, comic books, and novels.
A good question for another time.
But it's time to bring all of these characters and others together in the most...
Fu Man Blue says the prequels cheapened all the headcanon I've been crafting for so long. Actually, Fu Man Blue, they invalidated all of the headcanon. Headcanon is headcanon. The prequels expanded the lore and answered lots of questions. Some of the questions we didn't really need answers to be fair. But the prequels were... Listen, the prequels are backstory to Luke Skywalker's story. So that is their quintessential weakness. They essentially are a Greek tragedy. That's why they have they're quintessentially not as fun as the original trilogy. But with that being said, they're still brilliant. They still have they're still made with passion and fun, and they're still incredibly entertaining to watch. Crowbar the Skull says, I respect the prequels, but I can't pretend they're good films. You know something, Crowbar? 15, 20 years ago, I probably would have agreed with you. I probably would have sat here and said, Crowbar, you're dead on right about that. But you know something? I have sat through the most horrific, as our dear Staffieri would say, sewage pipe of shit. Absolutely. I've seen how far down the bottom goes. I've seen how bad it can get. I've seen The Acolyte. Okay. And let me tell you something. The prequels are great films. I'm telling you right now. Seriously, they are good films. They're even, I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say Phantom Menace is a great film. I'm not going to say Attack of the Clones is a great film. It's a good film, and I love it. Revenge of the Sith is a great film. Revenge of the Sith is a brilliant film. Full stop. Brilliant. You know what? I'm not going to use that phrase full stop because there's a lot of annoying nitwits. There's a lot of midwits on X that are using that phrase, full stop. Okay, so I withdraw my statement of full stop, but I will say, just very simply, they are great films. You know something? Guess what else I saw? Do you know what else I saw? I saw this year. Sorry, but after that, you are never going to convince me that the prequels aren't good films. Yes, Fu Man, brilliant. Brilliant. All right, fine. If it's what I have to, I guess I just have to explain it one more time.
I'm telling you, this finale, it's unbelievable how tepid contemporary art seems compared to the passionate quality of this finale. So you have this huge, it's like romantic nature painting, apocalyptic landscape of the lava. Lucas cross-cuts the destruction of the Senate chamber, and you have the destruction of industry going on. And then, after all these horrors, it is so beautiful. I'm saying, my God, nothing in the last 30 years in any of the arts has been produced as emotionally compelling and significant as the finale of Revenge of the Sith.
There you go. I rest my case. Okay, roll tape, Mr. Producer.
Most contrived.
That's true. I have seen a lot more trash than you, Fu Man. I've endured it. I've seen the Minecraft movie. You know how fucking stupid that movie is? The Minecraft movie. That is probably the dumbest movie of the year. Not the worst, but the dumbest movie of the year. It's the Minecraft movie. Absolute brain rot. That was like 2 hours of Twitter TikTok scrolling. Pure garbage brain rot. It was like being forced to read someone else's doom scroll. It was so funny. A Gen Zer recently asked me, like, "Oh, you thought the Minecraft? What'd you think of the Minecraft movie?" Because I was talking about how the Super Mario movie was good and I liked it, you know. And they were like, "Oh, well, did you like the Minecraft movie?" I'm like, "No, bro. What even the hell was that?" I don't even know what the hell it was.
Possible. Rey meets BB-8 in a way that's completely different than the first meeting of R2-D2 and Luke Skywalker, where the obvious proponent of slavery, Luke Skywalker, purchased his droid from scavengers. Our beloved Rey frees the droid from a scavenger who just happened to be walking by her house.
Well, isn't that convenient for you?
But much worse than that is the first meeting between Finn and Poe. Finn, who was just off his failed first mission and told to report to the office by Darth Karen, apparently he can just walk freely around the ship, and he just happens to run into Poe Dameron, who just so happens to be alive, even though he just gave up all the information needed to Kylo Ren after being tortured.
How convenient.
They immediately become best pals and decide to escape, and then they manage to escape pretty easily.
Barely an inconvenience.
Until they get shot and crash land on totally not Tatooine. Now, we are meant to believe that Poe is dead, and Finn is on his own, where he magically runs into Rey and BB-8, who recognizes that he's wearing Poe's jacket. And after he gets his ass kicked by Rey, and despite just meeting her and having no idea who she is, he decides to tell her that he helped Poe escape from the First Order, and that BB-8 has a map to Luke Skywalker, who Rey thinks is a myth. Now, how does somebody fall into myth and legend in just 30 years? No idea. But that's enough time wasted on plot through exposition. Disney Analytics now dictates it's time for some action, and wouldn't you know it, the First Order just magically runs into Rey, Finn, and BB-8. And to show that this is the modern Disney Star Wars and the Force is female, despite having bigger things to worry about, like being shot at, we find out that Rey really doesn't like having her hand held.
What are you doing? Come on. Let go of me.
Come on, we gotta move.
I know how to run without holding my hand. Stop taking my hand!
And looking back on this 10 years later, it makes it so much worse. Despite the accusations of toxic fandom and racism from the Access Media and Jonathan Boyega.
Let me tell you, Star Wars always had the vibe of being in the most whitest elite space. Like, this franchise is so white that it's like a black person existing in that was something. And you can always tell it's something when some Star Wars fans try to say, well, we had Lando Calrissian and had Samuel L. Jackson. It's like telling me how many cookie chips are on the cookie dough.
Let's keep...
Yeah, honestly, I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, fine, fuck off. Just fuck off. I don't care. You didn't fucking make Star Wars, John Boyega. You don't get to make that call. We don't care how you feel about it. How you feel about it is irrelevant. We're just so done with this crap. We're just so done with entertaining it. Oh, you're a racist. Okay. Fine. Moving on.
In mind that it was Jar Jar Abrams, Lawrence Kasdan, Kathleen Kennedy, and Bob Iger who all signed off on making him a complete clown, along with shrinking him on the poster for China.
When you point a finger at someone in blame, there are 4 fingers pointing back at you.
3.
Gambino98 has entered the chat, says, hello, Big Papa. Well, that might be a misnomer, but thank you for the honorific nonetheless. Welcome aboard.
That's weird.
So, after Rey somehow runs into BB-8 in the middle of the desert on a planet that's totally not Tatooine, and then somehow Finn, on a very large ship, manages to run into Poe, who somehow is still alive, and then they both somehow manage to escape, and then somehow Finn runs into Rey and BB-8. Following that, somehow the First Order managed to find Rey, Finn, and BB-8, who somehow find the Millennium Falcon in a junkyard. And despite saying she doesn't know how to pilot it, Rey somehow figures out a way to pilot it.
How did you do that?
I don't know.
No
I've
one
flown some
trained
ships, but I've never left the planet. Your last
That
shot
was
dead.
amazing.
Well, you two, shut up.
And somehow they run into Han Solo and Chewbacca in the...
This video is a lot of fun, but we're going to leave it there. I think we'll just do this in segments. Let's see. We'll do this in segments from, over the next couple of Captain's Casts. Let's see. We have 50 minutes of this. What would be the most economical? Yeah, I'd say we do like 3 17-minute segments, and we're at about 15 minutes. We'll let it run another 2 minutes. That way we're at a good stopping point.
emptiness of space. But before we get to the triumphant return of two of the most iconic characters in Star Wars history and one of the most iconic characters in cinema history, brought back in the most thoughtful and sincere way, about time we talk about the big bad. No, not Bill Weasley from Harry Potter or Kylo Ren.
You know, the sad part is I liked Hux in the first film. I liked him a lot. I thought he was a cool, like, just human bad guy. He seemed like malevolent. He had like kind of like ideals. There was something tantalizing there. There was something interesting. And then they just turned him into a clown in the next one. I'll tell you what, though. I never liked Snoke. Everyone was wild about Snoke when this movie came out. Everyone was just like, I just want to know more about Snoke. Where did he come from? And to me, I was like, he just seems like a Palpatine. He seems like reheated Palpatine to me, which ironically turned out to basically be true. But I just remember thinking, like, he's the least interesting character in this. You know, at least Kylo Ren has a journey. Hux, you know, he doesn't have force powers, but he's, you know, he's plucky and he's ambitious. That was all kind of interesting. Snoke is like the most boring character in the whole thing. Didn't care about him at all. I was totally alone on that. Like, everyone was into Snoke, and I didn't get it. To this day, I still don't get it. He was never interesting. He's mysterious. Where did he come from? Who cares?
Snoke, who we first see on board the super duper super Star Destroyer known as the Finalizer, and he appears as a giant hologram voiced by Andy Serkis. Snoke is a mystery wrapped inside an enigma, a dark side force user from unknown origins who is powerful enough to turn Kylo Ren, Han Solo's son, originally named Ben Solo, to the dark side, betraying his uncle, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, and slaughtering his fellow children Jedi. And then he joined and took over his own boy band, the Knights of Ren. Who is Snoke? Well, I don't think anybody even at the time thought Jar Jar Abrams would answer this question, but the theories were many, including but not limited to Snoke is a Grand Inquisitor.
Wrong.
Snoke is Darth Plagueis.
Nope.
And Snoke is Mace Windu?
Ain't Snoke dead? Actually, no.
Wow, you know, this is so fascinating. Snoke was nothing. He was absolutely nothing. He was not interesting. He was not unique. He was just a rehash of a Palpatinian-like figure. Yet the fans... this is a microcosm of what Force Awakens was, you know, all the way around, including me. All it was empty, unanswered questions with possibilities and potential that allowed the audience, a blank slate, if you will, that allowed the audience to simply project headcanon onto literally everything. There were theories about, you know, Finn maybe was a descendant of Mace Windu, and that's how he has force powers, and that's why he was able to use the lightsaber and break free of the conditioning. You know, there were constantly just theory after theory after theory. And there was no plan behind any of it. There was nothing behind any of it. J.J. Abrams created an empty blank slate for fan headcanon so that he didn't have to write an actual story. Now, to be fair, we didn't know this, most of us anyway, didn't consciously know this when we saw that first film. The biggest critique I heard from most people that saw Force Awakens, because it was very well received at the time, but the biggest complaint I heard was it was too much like the original New Hope film. It was too much. It was just a rehash of that concept. And to my great shame, I defended it. I was like, well, the Force does things in cycles. See? Headcanon. I projected headcanon onto it, when really it was just a stupid requel. Well, live and learn.
Previous video explained why his ring can revive him. And if that's true, then who is Snoke? But what if he's Mace Windu? I know it sounds crazy, but big figures like Samuel Jackson and George Lucas believe in parts of this theory, so it's worth a listen.
In my mind, I'm not dead. Jedi's can fall incredibly high distances and not die.
Yes, that was an actual theory that got some channels millions of views because Star Wars theory crafting was eating good back in the day, but on this one, I'll have to agree with Rianne Johnson. Your Snoke theory sucks. That fall must have turned him white and gave him blue eyes. And yes, there were rumors that...
Rian Johnson, the absolute troll. He was like, your Snoke theory sucks. Not because I have a better one, because Snoke sucks and I'm just going to kill him off. And, you know, that was the one thing in The Last Jedi that I liked. The one thing I enjoyed about The Last Jedi immensely was the destruction of Snoke. I was like, great, get rid of that guy. Who cares? Which really is just a sign of how bad the whole trilogy was. So that's where we'll leave it. Hat tip, Nerdrotic, with an excellent report. And we need one to close it out, Mr. Producer. And I have just the thing. You know, every now and then, as an aging millennial, I often come across things on the internet that perplex me. Things in which I'm just simply out of the loop. It's just not my lane, and I try to stay in my lane most of the time. And I came across something similar to that. Apparently, there is a man named Jake Paul, who's a kind of fake boxer, I guess. I don't know. So the rumor goes. And he got knocked out, apparently badly. And this intrigued me, because the captain is a curious man. And so, It's a Gundam has the report for us. He's going to explain to this aging millennial what the big deal is here.
See if I can get back up. I'm knocking this guy out, becoming the CEO of Matchroom Boxing and changing the plans, and it's going to be me versus Tyson Fury next year.
Break his face. I'm going to break his body up. I'm going to stomp all over him.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
It's a Gundam. He's just a piece of crap.
I stopped paying attention to Jake Paul's fights, much like his financial freedom course.
I did see the Jake Paul versus what the hell was it? Mike Tyson. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. That was the lamest thing I've ever seen. That was so fake. That was so phony. Nothing. It was just so bad. I mean, I thought, you know, at the same time, it's possible. You know, I was thinking at the time, I was like, it's possible that Mike Tyson maybe got a few good licks in, but the whole thing, completely fake.
How to become rich as an influencer, things seem quite dubious.
The system is broken, and it's never been easier to achieve financial freedom on your terms.
You get the hell out! And if you're adamant in your belief that the fights seem kind of dubious, he'll probably try to sue you, because that makes everything seem that much more legitimate.
Jake Paul threatens to sue anyone who says his fights are staged.
Pay no attention to the video clip that you're seeing right now. I don't know how it got here, Stu.
I come across men like you, I can barely contain the vomit that is rising in my throat.
YouTubers and content creators getting into boxing have made a mockery of the sport. It's like when drag queens get off RuPaul's Drag Race and then they put out an album that no one asked for. And then the sycophants online claim it's good, but really it's an insult to the medium. But I'll give Jake this. He knows most people hate him and his brother. And he's found a brilliant way to monetize it, which is what this really is all about at the end of the day. Jake Paul's boxing career consists of fighting old men, retired fighters, long past their prime. For God's sakes, Mike Tyson had a heart attack before his fight with Jake Paul.
He just gets old, aging boxers that are over the hill and can't fight anymore and beats them up. That's all he does. It's such a brilliant strategy. And he's like, and he acts like, oh, I'm giving the old man a glorious sunset. You know, he gets to ride off in the sunset, when really he just wants to beat up old guys that can't fight him.
Losing my mind.
Or he's fighting dudes who weren't boxers at all, and they trained just for a fast paycheck and to be on a pay-per-view that was stupid.
Remember the Andrew Tate versus Jake storyline that these two goofballs were building up like it was an episode of
Elder
Dragon
Abuse
Ball Z,
Incorporated.
And we were in the Gay
Yes,
Cell
man.
saga, except I wanted everyone to lose.
Who would win a fight between Jake Paul and Andrew Tate? And this is about the only fight I would root for Jake Paul. Andrew Tate is a real fighter who wants to convince people he's tough. Jake Paul is actually tough who wants to convince people he's a real fighter. Andrew Tate's also old and retired, so the fight makes sense to Jake Paul.
But the guy Jake Paul fought now, Anthony Joshua, this is a pro athlete, Olympic gold medalist and 2-time world champion. See, that's where Paul... I'm sure the victories against Washington...
This is great. This is just the kind of video I love on the internet. Because, like, this is something where I've caught, like, snippets of the Jake Paul drama just here and there, but, like, I don't really have the full story, the full context. So the way Gundam is putting this together, it's like, so he's fought fighters that aren't real fighters, or he's fought old men that had no chance. It's all very fake and set up. Now he's fighting an actual Olympic athlete who is serious and is taking this seriously. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Do you know what we call that? We call that trouble brewing.
Now shall you deal with me, O Prince, and all the powers of hell!
That's right. It's trouble brewing for Jake Paul. So roll tape.
...of fighters and bums, and each one didn't at all seem fishy, inflated his ego enough for him to take this fight. And let's not get it twisted. Both men walked out with $100 million each. Jake isn't getting in the ring unless he's getting paid handsomely for it. To think there are men who have dedicated their lives to the sport of boxing and they won't even see $200,000 ever. The pre-fight was the usual hype beast trash that only appeals to people who are fans of Jake Paul or care enough to want to see him get decimated. Jake even did a promo about killing an alligator and dressing like Hulk Hogan.
Ago, I went gator hunting. Then, after spotting a 12-foot gator, I killed it. Then decided I want to turn this into my fight outfit. So we had a team working around the clock to design and craft the perfect outfit for my upcoming fight. And this whole fight outfit is an homage to the legend Hulk Hogan. Hulkamania!
Most of you watching are gonna go, the f is that? That's what you deserve. This is who I am. A clown!
I don't know what this was supposed to do, but fantastic, I guess. While Anthony seemed to focus more of his social media posting about training. The fight was 6 rounds of watching Jake Paul run for his life, scurrying about the ring like a mouse from a cat. He was dodging punches like black men dodge child support checks, and then literally trying to do MMA takedowns on Joshua. It was clear as day, Jake was not prepared for this. He did not train correctly at all. 16 punches landed, 13 takedown attempts. But Jake Paul's boxing matches so far have been fights lined up where he would have a clear advantage, much like his life and career. Without that edge, homeboy was as good as dead. Even the referee had to step in around round 4, when Jake was totally gassed from running around.
Listen, rough tactics gotta stop, okay? Fans didn't pay to see this crap, okay? Amen. You gonna fight, you gonna fight.
And frankly, to be real with you, I'd be running too. But then again, I wouldn't have been hot dogging before this fight. I would have got right with God because I knew I was about to die.
I would have got
there were
right
points
with
where you could
God.
see the fear in Jake's eyes. So then Jake did the same disrespectful shit he did to Mike Tyson.
Oh, jeez. Oh, this is what they call comeuppance.
He stuck out his tongue in Joshua's face.
And that's what he really moved up. That's like waving your dick through a wire fence at a pit bull whose chain just broke.
30 seconds later, Joshua broke this dude's jaw in 2 places. He
Holy
must have felt
shit.
dumb as
I got this.
Jeez.
And his chin served on a platter.
You're like, why are you laughing at a guy getting his jaw broken? Oh, fuck Jake Paul. Who fucking... He got what he fucking deserved. But, it's the editing. It's Gundam's editing is so funny. That was so good.
He must have
This
felt
is
dumb
so
as
good.
I got
The internet was having a field day on this one, dude.
This is the first boxer in
That is pure catharsis. That is like, this is a guy who is fake, phony, clown, and he finally met a man who was playing for keeps. He met a man who wasn't fucking around, and boy, howdy, did he find out.
He's ever faced, and he broke his jaw in two. Tells you everything you need to know about that fraud.
Look at the look on this guy's face. The look on this guy's face is incredible. It's like, that's what you fucking get. He's like, stay down. Holy shit. This guy, Jake Joshua, has performed, I'm declaring it now. In my capacity as captain of the Swords of Starship channel, please like and subscribe. I am proclaiming Jake Joshua a servant of humanity. He performed a service for the rest of humanity.
Absolute embarrassment to the sport of boxing. A fraud who buys his way into fights against legitimate champions like Anthony Joshua, only to get knocked out in the 6th round after clinching, flopping, running like a coward. He has no real skill, no heart, and no business in the ring with actual pros. His entire career is a mockery built on hype, easy opponents, and massive paydays. The sooner he retires, the better for boxing's...
Dude, if his jaw was broken in 2 places, is that true? Let's see. Was Jake Paul's jaw broken in 2 places? Holy shit. That is it's true. Can you even imagine the pain? Can you imagine what that felt like? Fu Man Blue, you saw the x-ray? Holy shit. You know, after sitting through the con job that was that Tyson-Jake Paul fight, just after what a nothing burger that was and how fake and phony it was, I'm dead serious. Jake Joshua just performed a service to humanity by breaking the jaw of this dumb douchebag.
Integrity.
He's 100% right. The biggest boxing matches have all involved this idiot. And it's not because he's a good boxer. And
not, I mean that as he did that in a fair fight in the ring. They both agreed to the conditions. So, within the context of a fair fight, he busted him up.
It's because of hype and people wanting to see him get knocked out. And that's pretty much what the draw is for all of Jake Paul's fights.
This moment is art, so I turned it into a painting. Collision with Reality 2025. The Brit went to America, walked out to no music in some camo shorts, broke the opponent's jaw, got $200 million, went home.
Some of the memes are fantastic, especially the ones that incorporate
Fallout,
that's
good.
Which I guess is timely because the
so
Amazon
great.
Fallout show is here. But good lord. There was even one where someone pointed out Jake Paul's trash defense with his overhead right, thinking he's Hajime no Ippo or something. But then his arms got crossed up and he got the shit knocked out of him.
For me, yeah, the integrity of boxing was on its knees last night. You've got a former 2-time heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua, following a clown around the ring, trying to go in survival mode, like a scene out of like a Jackass, like I said earlier. It's just a piss take that this guy's in there with Anthony Joshua, swinging away, landing... What's he done? He's had 18 minutes and landed 2 shots, and he's gone on survival mode. And there'll be a lot of viewers on Netflix new to this sport for the first time that will think this is professional boxing. This isn't professional boxing. It's blood, sweat, tears, heart, soul, guts, dedication. You've got to be motivated. You've got to be disciplined. It's a whole lifestyle to get to the point where you can challenge for a world title. And then because you're ranked, and because you come up through the rankings the proper way, the 2 fighters in the ring are, 9 times out of 10 evenly matched, and there's competitive fights. And I'm embarrassed for both of them. AJ, to be fair to him, at least he got the job done. He got Jake Paul out of there in 6 rounds, and he's sort of ended the Clown World show. But he'll probably take a lot of positivity from that Jake Paul and his fans that think Jake Paul can box and calling him a pro boxer because...
See, I was looking at the combination of their 2 names. It's Anthony Joshua. Sorry, Anthony Joshua. I'm not familiar with this boxer. I am now, though, having performed a service to humanity.
He's gone 6 rounds with the ex-champ, but it wasn't a boxing match. It was an absolute joke.
After getting memed on for being a jackass, Jake Paul posted online that he has a private jet, he has a bunch of money, and a whole lot of guns. That was his rebuttal. Congratulations, I guess. The weird thing about X and Twitter is the amount of people that tried to run defense for Jake Paul by trying to tell you he was a champion in his heart and all this other crap. I'll just play the clips because I wasn't in the mood for any of these shenanigans.
How he was going to deploy his strategy. I would say Anthony Joshua, I looked at the stat, in round 4 against Daniel Dubois, right, a year and a half ago. He got knocked out, I think, in round 5, threw less punches than he threw in round 4 against Jake Paul. Like, think about that, right? He was more active against Jake Paul than he was against Daniel Dubois in the 4th round of what was, one was a 5-round fight, one was a 6-round fight. I will say that Jake Paul lasted longer than 18 of Anthony Joshua's opponents, some of which were heavyweights that were 24-0, 25-0, 26.
Bro, Tyson's whole career was decimating dudes bigger than him. Miss me with that Jake Paul was 20 pounds lighter and shorter crap, and just get out of here. Jake Paul's not Tyson. He's not a real boxer. Sure, he could probably beat up a normal person. He should. He's probably spent $1 million on training.
13 takedown attempts, 16 punches landed, and AJ didn't blink at any of them. Jake was exhausted after running around for 5 rounds, and when AJ broke his face in the 6th, most men would step in with AJ for that amount of money. That's not a performance to be proud of by any means.
Andrew Tate weighed in on this, but I lost a tweet. He was saying something like everyone making fun of Jake were cowards and wouldn't step in the ring and wob, wob, wob,
You're
wob.
goddamn right I wouldn't. See, that's exactly why we're making fun of Jake Paul. Because he's fake. He's a phony. He had no business being in that ring. But at least he could have been honest about it and said, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. This is an exhibition fight. Hopefully I don't get killed. You know, we might have more respect for him if he did that. But yeah, if you're saying that us spectators are like, I wouldn't step in the ring with that guy. Well, you're goddamn right we wouldn't. Because we're not stupid.
Tate had his feelings hurt, and the Tater Tots were upset their top G also got humbled in a fight by a dude who was 1 year younger than him. And they were making it sound like Andrew Tate was like 1,000 years old or something. You see, none of this is bravery. Much like e-girls, these men don't do shit unless it's for money. They are devoid of passion, they are obsessed with their image and chasing the bag. Sounds like bitch shit to me.
That's a great point that Gundam makes, because, you know, Jake Paul's up there. He's like, oh, I got my plane and my money and my guns. Screw you. It's like, sure, you do. Enjoy it. You earned it. But you know damn well that there's one thing money can't buy, and that is a reputation. That's a reputation. And you can pretend you don't care about it, but you wouldn't be doing what you're doing if you didn't. You wouldn't be obsessed with your image if you didn't care. So it's a cope. It's a pathetic cope. And, yep, I'm sure having all that money is a comfort. But there are some things in life that are beyond all price.
Let's be real. I'd get in the ring with Joshua for $100 million and run around for 5-6 rounds before getting dropped like a sack of potatoes too. Hell, any dude would do it. I don't know why they're trying to paint Jake Paul getting paid millions of dollars for finally fighting someone that wasn't half dead like he's a hero. Get out of my face. One of the dudes from Fresh and Fit had a meltdown too because they were making fun of his friend Andrew Tate. And somehow this dude missed the point and goes full boomer mode.
They lost a boxing match. Bro, shut the f up. You've never fought in your life. Like, what are you talking about? Even Jake Paul. Look, I'm not a Jake Paul fan. I think he's a simp, right? I think he's a simp. Logan, simp, right? These dudes are normies. And he's one of them boys, by the way, too. Bro, throw on that yarmulke real quick.
The Jews!
But I respect the fact that he fought a professional fighter, you know? Like, I'm not going to let people just shit on him.
People are making fun of Jake Paul because he finally fought someone that wasn't old as dirt. And he got cleaned out, proving he isn't a boxer. Running from a boxer doesn't make you a boxer. I seen Aiden Ross run around the ring with a dude before that was a pro. Get out of here. On top of that, he did it for $100 million. He didn't do this to prove a point. He knew he was going to get his ass beat, but he wanted a fat check for it. These motherfuckers are trying to act like Jake Paul is Achilles. And if he was Achilles, he wouldn't go near Hector unless there was a Netflix special with a KFC bucket of chicken tie-in.
That is a great final thought to close that with. So at Tip, It's a Gundam. Brilliant video as always. That's right. It is that time. When we reach the end of our journey together here on the Swords of Starships channel. If you liked the content, please like and subscribe. We had fun, did we not? Fu Man Blue says, I'm off, folks. Good times. Well, just in time. The music's coming up, Fu Man. So, Fu Man Blue, Gambino 98, Crowbar the Skull, Wrangler, Redoubt Productions, Derpy was in the chat. Darth Merlin was in the chat tonight. Thank you. It was good hanging out with you. As always, anyone I missed, not intentional. I'm sure I saw you. Skunk's Workshop. I almost missed. Skunksy was here. Even Skunk's Workshop came out of his little hollow to say hello. All right. Well, that is our Captain's Cast for this Sunday, December 28th, year of our Lord 2025. Last Captain's Cast of the year. So I'll see you next year, my dear sailors and starnauts. And until next time, remember, I'll see you out there.